everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7:03. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. An officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mack, Matthew Rocchio, Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us on a day after the Cardinals completed not one, but two victories. Not one, but two, and we're the only team in the National League Central to win a game on Wednesday. So you wake up and look at the standings, kids, and here you have the Cardinals alone in third place and stalking the Chicago Cubs, who come to town. Cubs have a 3.5-game lead over the Cardinals, and the Brewers lost last night, so the Cardinals 5 out. And more importantly, I think most importantly, kids, Cardinals within 3 of 500. This is a team that lost 7 in a row a couple of weeks ago. It all starts when you get to 500, and they are steamrolling towards the 500 mark.
They are. I mean, this was very exciting right now. I like just enjoying what we are seeing currently in this moment. First of all, getting their first sweep of the season. Let's do a round of applause for that one. It was the first time the Orioles have been swept in a series since 2022. That is a really good team on the other side.
106 consecutive series without being swept.
Which is insane.
It's unbelievable.
And they were able to do it. There were so many positives to take away from yesterday. But I think the biggest for me, guys, is going to be the bullpen. Once again, the bullpen was put in a very tough position, but they came through there. The bullpen allowed only 1 run over 8 innings spread between the 2 games yesterday.
I'm a little concerned about that bullpen because they're just using them so much.
You had to.
I'm with you. The bullpen has been sensational when you talk about Romero, Kittredge, Helsley. But this is before May and a lot of usage, and that's how they're winning games to get to those 3. I'd just be a little concerned. I think you need to have somebody else step up to be able to take some key roles and roles that are the high leverage situations. The other part that I didn't like is it's now 9 consecutive games with an error. However, the margin of error for the Cardinals is slim, but yet when the offense is doing what they're doing, you can get away with that sometimes, and they've been able to get away with it. To me, this is what they were supposed to be when they started. You'd get some offense, you'd get starting pitching that would maybe last 5 or 6 innings and then have a dominant bullpen. It's going to get better. You know, I don't know what you're going to do with Liberatore, but I like him in the bullpen. He's going to make a start, obviously, next time out. But eventually, I'd like to see him in the bullpen. You get Keenan Middleton back, and this could be a positive, really, for the Cardinals moving forward.
And there's a couple of things I like about the back end of the bullpen, specifically 7, 8, and 9. By the way, the guys need a nickname. That back end of the bullpen needs a nickname. But number one, you're only using them in wins, which is great. When you can set up your 7th, 8th, and 9th when you have a lead and shut the game down when you have a lead after 6, that's huge.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is there are so many games where these guys are so efficient. Yesterday, 13 pitches is a really efficient inning in the major leagues. Yesterday, Kittredge, 14 pitches. Romero, and he goes an inning and a third. Romero throws only 7 pitches and hits his 2/3 of an inning, and then Helsley comes in and closes it out with 14 pitches thrown in his inning of work. More times than not, especially with a guy like Helsley, this has been a really efficient group.
I think you can be efficient. The one thing you have to consider is pitches in the bullpen, getting loose, getting hot, and it does become, whether you're throwing 10 to 15. I think when you get over 15, it taxes you obviously a little bit more, and that's more of the concern on the usage. But right now, I think when you go 8-2 in this stretch of baseball, if you're a fan out there, you have to be pleased with what you're seeing from the Cardinals.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of concern with the arms, and that's very valid. But it was kind of fluky just how things have played out the past couple of days. Because of the rain delay, it put your bullpen in a really tough position, but still you have to give them a lot of credit for showing up. You mentioned the errors and how just the margin for error has been really thin for the Cardinals. It was just nice to see finally things kind of go their way. You have Lars Nootbaar with that game-saving gem. That was just huge. Mason Wynn with a 13-game hitting streak. I don't know how he golfed that one out. That one looked insane. And then the Little League home run by Brendan Donovan.
Awesome.
It was just nice to see a lot of things work in their way.
I was emceeing an event last night and interviewed Lars Nootbaar and also Alec Burleson. And you know what? A lot of people did not think that they would see that play out of Lars Nootbaar. It was fantastic. It was a game-saving catch because Mullins, the runner for Baltimore, was going to take a chance, and he would have scored if that ball gets over his head. That would have tied the game, and you didn't really think that you had the big 3 available, so now you're talking about the back end of your bullpen being shut down. you might give the Orioles the favor going into extra innings because of where we're at with your bullpen. So incredible catch by Nootbaar, and that saves the game.
And we should not dismiss at all the work of the bullpen outside of the big three, because King gave you 2 scoreless. By the way, Kyle Gibson done in. You talk about the errors. Kyle Gibson done in by errors. He allowed unearned runs.
And Lance Lynn in the makeup game, too.
No doubt about it.
Gorman error.
Right, both of them. And then Leahy, who's been really good for the Cardinals, he gives you 2 scoreless as well. And then Fernandez allows the 1, but closes things out and gets the save. So you got good work out of relief pitchers that weren't the big 3, too.
Can you get 1 or 2 of these guys to step up? Now, yesterday's a good example. High leverage situations, coming in and shutting the door. But do you feel comfortable where you could have a consistent 1 or 2 of these guys that you're talking about, Randy, not the big 3, 1 or 2 that all of a sudden emerge? And if you get that, then you really got something going here.
The Cardinals at the beginning of the season, before the season started, were counting on Middleton being one of those guys.
Absolutely, huge.
So, and he's doing rehab this week. And Leahy has pitched really well for the Cardinals. I don't know how long he can do it, but he's been really good for the Cardinals lately.
He really has, and that's what you need. Is you need some of the supporting cast to step up, and that's what I'm taking away from this series, is that not only did you have it on the positional side with the players, the supporting cast of that stepping up, but the supporting cast of the bullpen stepping up too. So maybe, hopefully, they can build off that. But as you guys mentioned, there's reinforcements coming. I know that maybe people don't want to hear this, but Giovanni Gallegos, it looks like he could be close to somewhat returning. I know that he's working through some things right now, but maybe you get some more reinforcements. I would still like to see Liberatore in the bullpen. I'm with you guys on that one.
So what would be your option, though, to put in the rotation?
That's the big thing. That's
double-edged sword with this.
Yeah, that's the part of this, is they're kind of in a tough position here where who else can you put in the starting rotation?
I was looking at the numbers for Gordon Graceffo, and we talk about Zach Thompson, his velocity being down. Graceffo, in his last start, was finally able to get his velocity back to like 95. So that's somebody you think about. Roberset has got limited time in AAA, so I think they want to be cautious with him. But at some point, if it's not being done by Liberatore, either you have to go outside the organization or just press one of these guys and say, you know what, you may not be ready, but we're going to give you a shot. And that, that's the thing where the Cardinals a few years ago had people ready to go, in the bullpen. They could find some stopgaps and guys that could help them and maybe emerge and stay in that rotation. And right now, they just don't have that.
Yeah, they really don't. And you mentioned with Graceffo, he even hit 97, I believe, the other day, too. That was a huge milestone for him.
So that must be a mechanical thing probably with him, and they figured that out, altered his the way that he is delivering to the plate. He's doing something differently. So if he gets to 95, 97, that definitely catches your attention. And he's not a young guy. He's 24. He's somebody that should be just about ready to graduate to the big leagues.
And is supposed to be a swing and miss guy. When the Cardinals talked about him when he won Minor League Pitcher of the Year 2 years ago for 2022, they thought that he would come up and be a big-time swing and miss guy. Hopefully he still has that ability, and the velo is a huge part of that.
The other part I want to talk about is Michael Ciani. Michael Ciani has given this team a find in that, he was with the Reds and it didn't work out there, and he comes to St. Louis. Dylan Carlson is not playing well. He's not hitting, and they needed somebody to step up in their outfield. And Michael Ciani, again, we're talking about a guy that's hitting around 215, 220, 230. He'll go up to 235, 240, but he's given them exactly what they needed, which is incredible defense in center. I mean, he plays Gold Glove defense, and if he can hit it all, I think he sticks in the outfield right now.
He has to, because you got to be strong up the middle defensively. That's how you win a World Series. And you can carry Ciani's bat if everybody else is hitting. And if you can get Contreras back, Wynn is electrifying. Gorman is at least league average, and I think there are days where he's a little bit better. If you can have that up the middle, that could be a division winning up the middle for you.
And Brendan Donovan.
No doubt.
You're going to get.
I would prefer to have Donovan playing second base.
I would too. Yeah. I mean, I think that he's fine in left field, but give me guys that are used to it. Give me guys that are everyday players in the outfield, and by all accounts, you're going to start getting some of these guys healthy, and maybe Donovan is your second baseman moving forward.
By the way, guys, John, it's actually John King. We asked him, and it's not Jean, it's John. So, but since he came back from Memphis, he has pitched in 9 games, 10 1/3, and has a 1.74 ERA. He's been pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we talk about lefties in the bullpen, Romero, and you want to have Liberatore down there. But King has been effective now for the last month.
Yes. Ask and you shall receive, Randy. You asked for some nicknames for the bullpen.
Yes.
We have the Hell Divers because Helsley leads it, of course. We also have, the Trilogy.
Ooh, I like that.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. We can workshop that a little bit. There's a couple I can't say on here this morning because it is way too early to say these at 7:13, and shame on you guys for saying these at 7:13.
Is it better than the Holy Trinity that we had last year?
I don't know if anything could top that.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Who's the Holy Trinity?
So we had Casey. What was the guy's name? There were three forgettable relievers down there. What was the
How
guy's
did we
name?
already forget that?
Casey Lawrence?
Casey Lawrence. See,
John King was a part of that.
was it? I don't.
Wasn't he?
I think he might have been.
No, he wasn't. I can tell you who they were. Let me find last year's
Was
card.
it Chris Von Raw?
Chris Von Raw was one of them. Yep.
How could we ever forget him?
Yeah, we did.
I don't even remember these guys.
Well, Chris Von Raw was also known as Drew Verhagen. We had an AKA. Chris Von Raw was like the first or second.
That was the
owner.
meanest one we've ever done.
And then the other one, it definitely wasn't John King.
Lawrence.
Was it Palante?
I could see Palante being a part of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
He struggled.
The other part we didn't talk about yesterday is Ollie getting ejected.
Oh, that part
He
happened.
gets ejected
Yeah.
and they win games.
Since the ejection in Milwaukee, they are 8-2. So, I'm pretty sure it was Palante. Okay.
Talked to Ali about that yesterday, and he said, without question, he was frustrated with some of the umpiring in the game against Milwaukee. He said probably not enough to get ejected, but that was all by design, just to try to get something going. And sometimes it works.
Yep.
Now, what about yesterday, though? Was that by design, or do you think it was more just arguing balls and strikes?
Oh, I think that was from previous night. I think it was also he did not like the strike zone, and he did have a beef with it. The strike zone was not good at times yesterday. It's so funny, though. When I sit there, I don't want the automated strike zone, but then when I see some of the egregious calls, I'm like, bring me the automated strike zone because it's terrible.
Yeah, same way. Last night in the NHL playoffs, Matthew Tkachuk scoring what stood up as the winner, the first goal for the Panthers. They blanked the Rangers 3-0. Bobrovsky was terrific. Both goalies were really good, and Matthew also had an assist as the Panthers open up a 1-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Final. NBA Western Conference Final, great game. Dallas over Minnesota, 108-105, and the Mavs lead that series 1-0. By the way, Stars and Oilers, game number 2, will be heard here on 101 ESPN, 7 o'clock pregame here on 101 ESPN. Stars Oilers game 1. I'm sorry, that's tonight. You'll hear here on 101 ESPN. That's Brooke. That's Dan. I'm Randy. Coming up, sick of it. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. You want to wait or do it now?
I'm not bearing gifts like I did yesterday.
Yeah.
I thought that may take give me a little time, a little reprieve.
No.
Time today. Yeah.
No, I mean like days off.
Oh, no.
No.
You don't get those.
Yo ho. It's part of the opening drive. It's yo ho. It's 9646. And make sure you get your text in. It's yo ho 314-399-9646. You wanted it.
It's
We got it.
beautiful.
Change up your daily fantasy game with Underdog Fantasy's new Pick'em product right now, active in Missouri, Pick'em Champions. Pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams. Select higher or lower on the player's stat projections. You pick your entry fee. You're going to be entering the game alongside other underdogs automatically. As long as you hit your entries, you're walking away with your winnings. For the entry for today, I'm not putting in any Cardinals game today because there isn't a Cardinals game. So let's roll with a NBA game. We're going to still roll with a St. Louis flavor. We're going to go lower than 46.5 points, rebounds, and assists because that number is just too big for Jason Tatum. Lower than 46.5 for points, rebounds, and assists. Lower than 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists for his Celtics teammates, Al Horford. And again, we got to get at least 2 teams in there. So we're going to go higher than 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists on Tyrese Halliburton. So that's lower on 2 Celtics, Jason Tatum and Al Horford, and higher on Tyrese Halliburton of the Pacers for tonight's Eastern Conference Finals. Underdog's super easy to play and even easier to get started. You just go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code ROCC, and Underdog will give you a mystery special pick to use on your first pick'em entry and a deposit offer. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to claim your new customer special of a mystery special pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus and present to stay where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Coin and gambler. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
ESPN, brought to you by Sumner One.
Time for Sick of It here on the 101 ESPN. Guys, I remember distinctly last year listening to ESPN radio on a weekend and hearing one of the ESPN hosts, I don't even remember who it was, but the ESPN host said, I can't see Brock Purdy going into Philadelphia and beating Jalen Hurts, as if they were going to be on the field at the same time. Now I'm hearing, I don't see that Tyrese Halliburton can beat Jason Tatum. I'm sick of ESPN one-izing all these team sports. There are other players on the court or on the field, and it's not Tatum against Halliburton. It's the Celtics against the Pacers. It would be the Eagles against the 49ers. ESPN, love ya, 101 ESPN. We're an affiliate. But I'm sick of how they try to turn tennis or try to turn football and basketball into tennis or boxing.
I never liked it when, and I still don't like it when people say, well, he's a player that has not won a championship, like it's on his shoulders.
Yeah.
There are other people around him to make the chances of your championship much better. It's not just falling on one person. Now, you're the biggest piece of that. You got to play well, but you have to have other people around you support you.
To that point, Dan, in the 80s, John Elway took the Broncos to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. That team had no business being in the Super Bowl. They're a top 10 team in the draft if John Elway isn't their quarterback.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
But he lifted them to another level, and people were down on Elway for not winning a Super Bowl with a substandard team.
I think of Brett Hall here in St. Louis.
Another good one.
You know, you got to have a supporting cast around you. And he had Oates, you had Hall and Oates, you had some other players that were fun to watch, but it needs to be a collective effort to get that one superstar over the top.
And I guess you could argue that that's the thing, is that you need superstars to be able to win championships most of the time. And so that's always going to be the story of what are they doing? What's happening here? What's happening there? Everything with like Jason Tatum, just listening to the coverage. I mean, they're putting a lot of weight on him because he can be a game changer and he is the superstar on that team. But so are other guys. You know, you have Jaylen Brown with that clutch 3 the other day that really changed the course of the game, leading to them winning. But I am with you. I get tired of that because it seems tired, but at the same time, we're on the media side of things. We know sometimes you really got to blow these stories up to get it a little bit more interesting.
I think it's a dumbing down of the sports culture. I get it because we're a superstar-laden society, right? We love our superstars, but it has dumbed down the sports fan, unfortunately.
Don't you think it's part of the debate shows, too, all over the place?
Totally, yeah.
And that's taken this thing to another level.
So I was really proud of it. I think Brian Windhorst a couple of weeks ago, if Jokic doesn't win this last series against Minnesota, how does that affect his legacy? And Windhorst said, well, it really doesn't.
Right.
They're doing that with Jason Tatum all the time.
Right,
Haven't you heard them? They'll be like, how is this going to affect it? He's not done. He's so young.
Right.
Like, he has ways to go here.
I think it enhances your legacy, but still, you are the great player that you are, so people know that.
Yeah, you win 3 MVPs and a championship, you're on a short list.
Yes.
I have a very controversial one for someone in this room because I know that they are a big fan of this.
Jessica Rabbit?
I am no, no, absolutely not. I am sick of the cicadas. And I know we have a cicada fan in this room
right
with
with
us.
Yes.
I know that Dan is the president and CEO of the Cicadas.
I wouldn't go
fan
that
club.
far.
Oh, okay.
I just kind of like them.
You're not going to go over to the botanical garden showing of how to cook cicadas? I thought that you signed up for that, Dan.
I did not sign up for it. That would be disgusting.
Oh, no.
See, that just sounds like summer.
But they're really loud, Dan, and there's so many of them. This is my issue with them. I am perplexed by them. I don't understand how these things survive. They have zero survival skills. They will just go out and they just kind of like bumble around and they, hit you in the face, everything like that. They just cause a mess because then they just die everywhere. Or even before they die, they're just laying around. How do these things survive? These are like little ground demons,
like me.
bugs that just came out of nowhere. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick of these cicadas. I think they're gross. And maybe this is a little bit selfish because I did not check to see when these cicadas were going to come up right before my wedding. So, yes, this is a little bit selfish in my way of thinking of, I'm going to have these things around.
Apparently, they're going to be gone by the 4th of July, though.
Is that what it is?
Keeps saying that. And then somebody told me they would be gone in 2 weeks, and I keep seeing them everywhere.
I didn't hear them this morning. I was listening for them, and it rained last night. So I get up, and I park right next to a big tree where you heard last night I was recording of those cicadas. I didn't hear any this morning. I heard birds.
How many years are they supposed to be? They come every 13 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a special breed of cicada.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 different. I want to say there's three. I think there's 3 different broods that are in America.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they come out at different cycles, and sometimes the cycles overlap.
And I understand what you're saying because we have some people who are also part of your fan club with the cicadas, Dan, over here, where they say cicadas are super relaxing and summer. Yes, they can be, but when there's a lot of them, that's where I have an issue with it, which is what we're dealing with right now.
My son says he's going to try to put some on the grill and see if they taste like shrimp.
Oh, no.
Will he really do that?
I don't know. We'll see.
They really are having some sort of cooking class over at the Botanical Gardens here soon.
Lovely.
So, Dan, I'll get you signed up for that.
Thank you very much.
This is a 13-year brood and a 17-year brood. It was 2007, 2011 when they each came out.
They're just hanging out underground before that. Yep. They're just, they're buried.
I'm sick of people not enjoying the honesty of Aaron Rodgers. He says outlandish things, and he makes it interesting with what he says. And this is what he says and believes, and this is his honesty, and I'm all for it.
I'm not. I just can't imagine being on Vladimir Putin's side. Vladimir Putin kills his political rivals.
I didn't hear that one.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I take it all back then.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sick of me saying that.
I'm sorry we didn't. We just crushed that.
Yeah, you totally ruined it.
Well, because I can't remember the full quote right at this moment, but it was something about, he was talking about Joe Biden specifically, and it was a comparison of leadership, and he talked about how he admired Vladimir Putin's leadership, and so I was like,
yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
By
Never
the way,
a good idea to do that.
in the Tom Brady roast, did you see Robert Kraft, what he said to Putin?
Yeah.
Give me my blanket and
my ring back.
Yes. Awesome.
All right, Matthew, we got a couple of texts.
Yes, we do. I'm sick of seeing Dallas in every headline, whether it's Jerry Jones at his worst, the Mavs, or the Stars in their respective conference finals. I'm sick of it.
Does any fan base have it better right now? And I know they're insufferable, but Dallas fans right now with the world champion Rangers, right? You've got the Stars, you've got the Mavericks, you've got the Cowboys, who've gone 12-5 3 straight years. That's
But
pretty
what
good.
have they done in the playoffs, Randy?
But that's why I love the Cowboys. Last NFC Championship game, 1995 for Dallas. Last NFC Championship game, 2001 for St. Louis.
If this was the sporting news, they'd say the best sports city in America right now.
Dallas.
We
Yeah.
went through that here in the early 2000s, and we were reveling in that as we should have been, and right now it is Dallas. It has to be. Matthew?
Cicadas can pee up to 10 feet from the 314. I didn't want to know that. That's now that I know that. Cicadas can pee up to 10 feet.
Pee?
Yeah. Remember I told you the other day, if you see water
Yeah.
dropping, which I know it just rained, but if you see water dropping, they're peeing from the trees.
I thought you said compete.
No.
Oh, okay.
they're
I thought like we have a
peeing.
lot of fights
No.
between them. Okay.
No.
Well,
Well,
they
I
don't
mean-
get old enough to have prostate problems.
Right.
I used to be able to do that.
Somebody also called them sky raisins, and no, absolutely not.
All right, we got Greg Amsinger coming up, so we're gonna get to our buddy Greg next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about 2060 Digital. It's a Hubbard company right here in our building. And did you ever wonder how or why, when you Google something, there's a company at the top of the Google list? I don't know how or why it works either, but the folks at 2060 Digital do. And if you get in touch with 2060 Digital at 101ESPN.com/2060 Digital, they can allow the algorithm at Google to make your company number one or at the very first page when you Google something. They're also fantastic with social media. They can connect you with clients, and they build spectacular websites. If you're looking for a way to allow your company to reach the clients you want to reach with more strategic ways to engage customers, look no further than 2060 Digital. The 2060 team will demystify the process and transform it from a challenge into an opportunity for your business. If you want to learn more about how the internet can help you, get to 2060 Digital at 101ESPN.com/2060 Digital.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals get 2 wins yesterday, finishing off their Game 1 victory with a 3-1 win thanks to Nolan Gorman, and a Game 2 5-3 victory. Cardinals went down 3-0 early, but thanks to a Lars Nootbaar hit in the 5th and then Brendan Donovan breaking the game open in the 6th, they take all 2 games yesterday and all 3 games in the series for their first sweep of the year. The Cardinals will be back in action starting a 3-game series against the Cubs tomorrow night. Last night in the NBA playoffs, it was the Dallas Mavericks over the Minnesota Timberwolves 108-105. Both Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic go for 30 in that win. And in the NHL playoffs, the Florida Panthers opened up their Eastern Conference Finals series against the Rangers with a 3-0 victory. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
We're efforting Greg Amsinger, MLB Network's lead anchor, product of the Lindenwood University, of course, a native of St. Louis and a huge Cardinal fan, and he's not shy about his Cardinal fandom on MLB Network, and it's always fun to, and he might be sleeping in today, I don't know, but it's always fun to hear him talk about the Cardinals.
Or is he on a golf course?
He very well could be on a golf course.
You never know with Greg.
Happened.
He's booked and busy all the time.
He is. So he's not around, but there's a lot going on in baseball. And guys, I wanted to touch on this anyway because we didn't get a chance to in the opening segment. But the Cubs come to town, and we talked about how the Brewers would be a great test for the Cardinals, and it didn't work out very well for the Cardinals. They lose 3 or 4 up there. They get swept here. But I thought at the beginning of the season that Pittsburgh would be the only team in this division that wasn't in the hunt. I do think Craig Counsell will help the Cubs ascend, but with as hot as the Cardinals are, and with where they are in the standings, I think this is another big early season series for the Cardinals.
Especially with all the pitching, the good pitching that they will see coming Friday night from Chicago. It was interesting. I think it was Fangraphs or Baseball Prospectus said in the beginning of the season, the NL Central, every team will be within 5 games. So buckle up. I think this is kind of where the Cardinals are supposed to be, hovering around 500, within 5 games, within striking distance. And I don't like that it's been this late in the season where you have these head-to-head matchups inside your division. This is where you got to make hay. So it starts Friday against Chicago.
The scheduling has been pretty strange. Now, looking at the Cubs, did you guys pay attention to the other day? Kyle Hendricks has been demoted to the bullpen. What do you guys think about that?
He's not pitching well.
I know. And that's
you know
it's just surprising, though, still to see him move to the bullpen. Seeing him in the bullpen, I think, is the biggest thing.
It's amazing because I really I was a Kyle Hendricks fan, and we saw him, and he dominated the Cardinals. But he is the perfect example of how the game has changed. You can't pitch to contact anymore, and he's a pitch to contact guy. Even when his stuff was good, he wasn't striking people out, but he just can't pitch in today's game.
I was looking the other day, and it is amazing when you have increased velocity. So going from like 92 to 93, so just go 1 uptick every time. Those that throw 98 or above, the OPS against them is like 350 or 400. And when you have like 92, it's like 800 to 900. It's amazing how the game has changed, and it's a game based on power. It's a game based on velocity, and whether you like it or not, that's the way the game is based now.
Yeah, and he really has struggled in his starts. He has like an ERA above 10 currently right now, and then also his lone career relief appearance was back in 2016. So that's what I was saying is that it's going to be weird seeing him move over to the bullpen, but at the same time, he is 34 years old. He has struggled in starts this season, so you have to figure out some way to make it work for him.
I find it interesting. The Cardinals have really an interesting road trip coming up, which includes the Phillies. The Phillies have played in their franchise history. These are some incredible numbers. 21,536 games. Now, they, in this season, are 28-6 over their last 34. The last time that they won as many games during a 34-game stretch was back in 1895.
Wow.
1895. That's the kind of run right now the Phillies are on. However, the Phillies, the only series in which they played a team 500 or better was their opening series of the season. So just how good are the Phillies? I think they're really good. But is this true test of what they are this year? Because they faced lesser teams. So the Cardinals will get a big test on the upcoming road trip, too.
Yeah, it's a weird scheduling quirk when we're talking about that. They've only played 3 games against teams that had a winning record. So that's just really strange how that stacks up. Do you see that as a plus or a minus against them in a certain ways? Because to your point, you haven't really played that good of competition. But at the same time, does it build up enough confidence where when you do face other good teams that you are pretty much set with what this group has and your potential?
I think they're this good.
That's the thing. They've built up a lead, Dan, and I'm with you. I think more than confidence, just the physical nature of having the best 50-game start. What is it, 36-14? Is that right? 40, 50?
I believe so, yeah.
Best 50-game start since 2001. When you build up a lead, especially over the other wild card possibilities, they're probably at a point now, my guess would be if they play 500 ball the rest of the season, they're going to be in the playoffs.
Should be. And, I mean, even if they play below 500,
they got a shot.
Yeah. They've opened up a nice lead over the Atlanta Braves. Can't count them out. The Atlanta Braves offense, for whatever reason, went really cold, and I don't anticipate that being the way for the entire season. And then you get the head-to-head matchups, and those will be fun to watch.
Speaking of Atlanta, Acuna and Olsen are both having, by their standards, really bad years, especially compared to last year. Olsen hit 51 homers, and we know what Acuna did with the homers and stolen bases. Neither of those two has hit their stride, and we always say that. We're saying that about our guys, too, right? Goldie and Arenado. You hope they hit their stride, but maybe this is just one of those years.
Were you guys shocked at what happened at the ballpark with a sweep of Baltimore by the Cardinals?
I was stunned.
I was stunned, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 5-1 on this homestand.
Yep.
I didn't anticipate that one bit. I thought the Baltimore series would be really tough, and if you got a win out of it, I was like, okay, you got a win against one of the best teams. Prior to that series, Baltimore was 29-15. They're still only 3 games out against the Yankees. Cleveland, by the way, game and a half in front of Kansas City. Kansas City's a good team. They're 32-19. Texas only 3 games back of Seattle. Mentioned the Phillies, 6 in front now of Atlanta. Milwaukee leads, and the Central stacks up this way. Milwaukee is a game and a half in front of Chicago. Cardinals are now 5. Pittsburgh 5.5. Cincinnati 8. I didn't anticipate the Reds being this far down, 8 games out, and they're 20-29. And then the Dodgers will probably run away with the West, and they're 7 in front of San Diego.
Yeah, I think I would feel a lot better about the Cardinals if they can figure out the rest of the starting rotation situation. And I'm just interested to see what happens on Saturday. But it seems like it's going to be Matthew Liberatore because I think we mentioned yesterday he was throwing a bullpen session. So you would assume that he would be the one going on Saturday.
I remember one year walking into Tony's office, and Dan, you lived this every year when they were under 500. And they got within 2 games of the lead or 2 games of a wild card spot. And I just stuck my head in and said, only 2 behind. It doesn't matter. It's what? It doesn't matter until we get to 500. Until we get to 500 plus 5 plus 10, doesn't matter.
I always felt it's, to your point, what you just said, increments of 5.
Yep.
Either 5 below, 5 above. You go to 10. Once you're at 10, now it's 15. I always looked at it, not 7, not 3, increments of 5. It just seems that that's the way it works out in Major League Baseball. Kind of weird how it does that.
It is, but look at what we're thinking about with the Phillies right now, because that's exactly what I'm looking at is, what are they, 22 games over 500? I'm thinking 25.
Tony was so good to me. When I was a young broadcaster, I was 23 when I did my first Major League game. Tony would tell the security guy, you just made me think of this. He would tell the security guy at the clubhouse, when this guy shows up, meaning me, you can let him in. I would get to the ballpark at 1:30, 2 o'clock and spend probably 3.5 hours with Tony. And you talk about getting a tutorial in baseball, and he would let you ask anything. He was always like, there's no dumb question. Now, he played a little different in front of the cameras and in front of some others where he'd get a little hot with questions. But, man, and I know you went through that, Randy, with Whitey, and you go through it with Tony. Man, do you learn baseball. It's incredible.
So much. If you're just willing to sit down and keep your mouth shut and just listen, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
And then it helps you so much as a broadcaster when you can relay that during the games as well.
Yep. He would tell me who's hurt and who's not. And so as you're kind of managing along a game and you say, well, this seems to be a lefty-lefty matchup, why wouldn't he bring in Andrew Miller or whomever, even though he didn't manage Andrew Miller? I'm just thinking of a lefty. And he would say, you know what, Andrew Miller has got a really bad elbow right now. He said, just say he's got the flu. So I just say he's got the flu. He's unavailable tonight when he got to that point. You wouldn't say it early in the game, but you'd say it when points in a game would make sense to make that kind of move.
Yeah,
he was great with that.
One night I was on a post-game show, and the Cardinals, I think it was 98, 99, and the Cardinals weren't that good. And I was pointing out a fact that Dave Duncan had not developed young pitchers here in St. Louis. And I said, you look, it's a veteran staff, but I think Morris might have been hurt at that time, and Alan Bennis had gotten hurt. And so I say, Dave Duncan just doesn't produce young pitchers. This is not a bad thing, but if the Cardinals are going to win, it's going to require veteran pitchers. The next day, Tony brings me into his office, shuts the door. He sits down behind his desk, and you had to sit down, and you're kind of like at his mercy at that point because he sits a little taller. He says, Dave Duncan is a blanking genius. Don't you ever forget Dave Duncan is a blanking genius. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you said he can't develop young pitchers. He starts running down Britt Burns, Floyd Bannister, all these guys he had with the White Sox, right? And he said, the fact that we don't have young pitchers isn't his fault. But never forget, Dave Duncan is a blanking genius.
And he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a precursor to the analytics that you get on your computer screen. With the book that he kept, it was probably, I'd say the book was maybe 2 to 3 inches deep. Mm-hmm. You know, it was huge of what he had.
Look at these Cardinal free agent pitchers. All 5 of your starters right now are free agent pitchers. That cost them a pretty penny. How much money do you think Dave Duncan saved to this ownership?
A lot.
A lot of money.
A lot.
Yeah, he was able to take those reclamation projects and make them into viable options out of your bullpen and in your rotation.
I am so happy because I've been advocating for Dunk for the Cardinal Hall of Fame for a long time. I'm on that red ribbon committee, and I didn't choose him. The Cardinals chose him as a managerial, as an organizational choice. But I'm thrilled that Dave Duncan is going into the Cardinal Hall of Fame.
Well, you were the one that really pushed it behind the scenes. So
yeah, I've been pushing it for years because of that. And who could be more valuable than a coach that makes people demonstrably better? They're not good when they're not here. They get here and they're great, and then they leave and they're not good again.
I always look at like Jeff Weaver.
Yeah, right.
They don't win the 06 World Series without him coming here, and people kind of thought, Jeff Weaver.
No doubt about
or
it.
even prior to that, or after that, I guess. No, prior to that, it was Woody Williams.
Yep. Suppan was another one. Yeah. Just made sense. Yeah, he was great. That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. 314-399. Yo-ho! TIOLI is next on 101 ESPN. If you're a parent with a youngster on the way to college, or maybe you're a youngster driving around and you haven't figured out where to go yet, I went to Lindenwood a long time ago, but Lindenwood is unbelievable now. If you get an opportunity, drive around the campus at Lindenwood and you will be sold and you'll want to take a tour. You can get a great education without breaking the bank at Lindenwood. It's one of the most affordable private colleges in the area, and you won't have to sacrifice quality for incredible value. You can apply today or schedule a visit at lindenwood.edu. And like I told you, you're going to love that visit because they've got everything you're looking for. They have great facilities. They have an amazing education, an exciting Division I campus experience with Division I football and basketball, over 50 student clubs and organizations, over 100 degrees and minors and certificates, including gaming, plus small class sizes, which I appreciated when I was there, and they still have a 15-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio, plus great financial aid. The maximum, $12,500 in average financial awards per traditional undergraduate student at Lindenwood University. I went there. I am still on campus a lot, and I love to help out, and you will love your kid or yourself going to Lindenwood, 30 minutes from the heart of downtown St. Louis. Learn more at lindenwood.edu.
Or leave it.
Want to say something? I'm gonna put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time for TIOLI here on 101 ESPN. Get your text in now, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. All right, kids, the Cardinals have won 8 of 10. They are 8-2 since Oli Marmol got thrown out for the first time in Milwaukee. But as Danny Mac mentioned in the last segment, the Cardinals' schedule is not easy coming up. They've got the Cubs this weekend to play 3 at home, and then they go to Cincinnati for 3 before going to Philadelphia. And then after that, in June, after the trip to Philly, they also go to Houston. Houston hasn't been playing well. Then you get the Rockies at home and the Pirates at home before you go to Chicago and Miami. Take it or leave it, at some point this season, the Cardinals are at or above 500.
At or above 500? Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take that for sure.
Good. I like that.
Yeah.
I hope that they can take 2 out of 3 here. Going to Philly will be a handful. Hopefully Houston doesn't turn things around. Apparently they're about to bring Jose Abreu back, and their pitching is a little bit better. You get Colorado here for 4. But the key is going to be how good are the Pirates? And do you see Paul Skeens when the Pirates are here in June?
He's nasty, man. Is he fun to watch?
I kind of want to see him. I kind of don't. I want to see him because he's really good, but I don't want to see him against the Cardinals.
Not against the Cardinals.
Yeah, no. If they can hold off on that one. But I'm going to take that one. I wasn't expecting this from this homestand, by the way. Was anybody expecting this from this homestand so far?
No.
I'm
Not at
sure,
all.
I'm not so sure the Cardinals were. When I was talking to people over the weekend down there, people within the organization about Baltimore, they said, yeah, it's going to be quite a test.
Yeah.
It's Baltimore.
But isn't that baseball, man? It's just weird.
You never know.
Yeah.
162 games. A lot of parity.
A manager that wears number 37 who shall go unnamed, when I brought up a statistic like that over the weekend, he said, that just goes to tell you, baseball sucks.
Whoever could that be, Randy? I have no idea. So we've been doing, of course, wall-to-wall coverage on that whole Kyle Busch and Stenhouse fight that we have been talking about a lot. Maybe it was just me. I've been talking about it a lot. But I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. Stenhouse was fined $75,000 by NASCAR. Take it or leave it. If you're going to use it for promos, and I'm looking at you, NASCAR, then you can't fine the person $75,000.
100% take it.
They've been putting it. It was was all over social media. They were really promoting it a lot. And then you turn around and you give him the largest fine ever handed down by NASCAR. That doesn't make any sense.
If you're the raceway across the river, you're saying, this is great.
Oh, yeah.
This has given us something to talk about. This has given us an interest of the casual fan. This is a great reminder we have a race coming up. You can't you can't have better promotion than that.
Yeah. So $75,000. I just think that with NASCAR, if you're going to do that, you can't just promo it everywhere. It doesn't make any sense.
By the way, tomorrow we're going to have Ryan Blaney on the show. We'll ask him what he thinks. And we'll ask him that very question.
Have to ask him that. Yeah. All right, take it or leave it. As long as Tom Brady is a member of Fox's broadcast team, he should not have a piece of the Las Vegas franchise.
100% take.
Oh, yeah, take that.
He's in production meetings.
Right.
You get a competitive advantage with that, even though you may not. You say, no, I'm not going to give away any trade secrets. Things can come out accidentally. I don't know, man. I don't think you should be a part of it and then get ownership, too.
I'm with you 100% because what happens if he's doing a Chiefs game and it's the Chiefs and New Orleans or whatever, right? And the Chiefs, I think, play New Orleans on Monday Night Football, but still. But then later down the road, the Chiefs play the Raiders. So he's getting information from Andy Reid that he can pass along to Antonio Pierce. It's not fair.
And if there was a Vegas game, he can't work that game.
No.
No,
there's no chance he could work that game.
No. One other quick one before we get to the text. Text line is open. And Brooke, you brought this up earlier. Next year, apparently, officially, is going to be the last year of Inside the NBA on TNT. Take it or leave it. Now that we are where we are, you didn't watch enough of Inside the NBA over the years.
Oh, yeah, I'll take it. I was actually watching a compilation last night of some of their best moments, and I was just dying laughing. They're so entertaining.
They're so great.
Took it for granted.
Yeah, me too. I didn't watch
Took it for granted.
Yeah.
So Ernie will not go anywhere.
Right. He's really loyal to Turner.
And he's a TNT guy. Now, what about Chuck?
Chuck is being offered apparently $25 million a year by NBC.
And Shaq?
Ooh.
I don't know what's going to happen with Shaq and Kenny, but I would hope that somebody would try to do as much as they can to replicate that show as possible. Although I think the glue is Ernie Johnson.
I do too, and I think you got to have Chuck on the NBA.
Yeah, you do.
You got to have him doing something with it because he's just so much fun. I mean, like when you watch the NCAA tournament, I feel like he's got no idea about some of the teams.
Right.
And I still want to watch it, and I still want to hear what he has to say, even though his insight may be something I could give.
Yeah. And if I am ESPN, I know I've laid a lot of people off and I have financial issues, but I am going to do everything I can. I'm going to try to make those four an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah, because you're going to watch that, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything they do, really.
Yeah. Matthew, what do you got on the text line? You agree with that? By the way, did you watch? You're an NBA guy. Have you watched enough Inside the NBA over the years?
There's no such thing.
There you go.
No, it's not. No, because I didn't watch every single second of it. So therefore, I missed bits, and therefore I am a more shallow and less good person because of it.
Yeah. Not just because of that, though.
There's other reasons, but I'm saying that's a contributing factor. No, I'm saying there's a lot of variables.
But as
general personality.
As an NBA guy, though, you loved it.
I loved it. Every second of it. And
Absolutely.
I'm heartbroken. I'm still latching on to the little bit of hope from the people saying that Turner hasn't given up. Apparently, they're still just fighting tooth and nail to get a deal done to keep some kind of NBA there. So I'm still hoping, but everything's trending against it. I don't care about Round Ball Rock that much. I like Inside the NBA more than Round Ball Rock. I'm sorry, I'll say it.
Round Ball Rock by John Tesh.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he's back in Nashville and he's got an orchestra and they're recording a new version of it. Oh. I want Chuck, Ernie, Kenny.
I'm with you. I'm good. I like that too.
Take it or leave it. Ollie's relationship with the umps is an issue, and it cost the Cardinals games both last year and it's carried over to this year.
I'll leave that.
I'm going to leave that.
I'm going to leave that.
Things actually have been going well when he's ejected from the games.
Right. And you know what?
Well, and I guess they're talking more about Hernandez and all that stuff.
You know,
but
if he has bad relationships with Angel Hernandez and CB Buckner,
he ain't the only one.
He's not the only, yeah.
At least he's saying what they won't say, right?
Right.
When he loved it. The spring training of 23 when he blasted CB Buckner. That was great.
Wouldn't shake hands.
Yeah, right.
Now, normally, and that's such an outlier, normally they put that stuff aside.
Yes.
You know, they're all pros out there, and they know that one game does not dictate exactly how it's supposed to be. So, yeah, I think that these guys are pros, and they let things go. away.
But here's the other thing, too, is that, okay, in the situation with the series this week, if Ollie didn't come out, it would look like he doesn't have his players back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to have your players' backs, and I think they appreciate that. And I think it's also when it gets egregious and it's going against you, the other part is that you're setting a tone that my guy better get those calls too. So when my pitcher's on the mound and you're missing calls 6 inches off the plate, hey, this is my message to you to say, you better get my guy those calls too.
Yeah. Here's the line about Buckner from February 25th of 2023. Ollie, quote, I went into that game pretty certain of my thoughts of him as an umpire. They weren't very good, and it shows his lack of class as a man. I chose my words wisely. I just don't think he's good at his job, and it showed his lack of class as a man.
I love that so much.
And they didn't shake hands.
No.
Yikes.
This is why I also love Descalso, just completely just othering the crew chief, just like with the little the hand behind the ear, like, what are you saying? Get out of here! I don't care what you're saying. Like Descalso was just perfect behind the dugout.
Descalso and Ollie were roommates in the minor leagues.
Yeah,
so
I'm not surprised now.
Yeah, they get along and kind of are on the same page with a lot of the stuff that's happening.
Descalso, his last name ends with a letter. Need we say, or a vowel? Need we say more? Everybody's name ends with a letter.
You're damn right.
His name ends with a vowel.
You're damn right.
Yeah.
Take it or leave
What are
it.
you
Traffic.
insinuating, Randy?
Matthew?
I'm surprised he didn't bite his thumb at him. Take it or leave it. Traffic merging and etiquette needs to be taught in high schools. Yes, I'm currently stuck on Highway 40.
Take it. Please. Yeah. What is happening with some of the merging issues? It feels like people sometimes just guard their lane and they're like, there's no way, especially over here. I'm trying to remember what the highway is, where they
270.
have 270, where they have the construction. You have nowhere else to go when you're merging, right? And yesterday I was driving and the people in the right lane would just not let me over. I was all the way in the back. I wasn't trying to cut, how some people drive ahead and then try to cut ahead. I wasn't even doing that. People just won't let you merge sometimes. I'm like, have you never had to merge in your entire life? Also, my only other option is driving off like the bridge, basically. Like, what do you want me to do?
Or just rubbing and racing. But here's the thing. How did we as a society take driver's ed out of school? Right? It should be taught as in high school. You should be taught driver's ed.
Yes.
Oh, no doubt. I want to throw this out there, though, because I live by a lot of construction. What's going on to the construction workers who take a brunt of the frustration of the drivers, the men and women that are out there? Thank you.
Great work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Seriously. It's getting hot out there, all that stuff.
Yeah, and not only that, but for previous iterations of Randy, I'm sorry.
Blackout Randy was not happy.
Also,
Blackout Randy.
putting driver's ed back in school, it's the only way we'll ever make zipper merging actually work in this country.
Right.
And that's one of my biggest things, one of my biggest pet peeves is that no one knows about it or does it correctly. And that's the only way we'll ever make it work. Take it or leave it. Babe Ruth was really overrated. He never faced real major league pitching. He faced bankers and bartenders. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one.
Believe that.
Didn't he hit 714 home runs when everybody else?
Yeah.
Nobody
That's
else
just
was
your
even
opinion,
close to
though.
500.
That's just your opinion.
That's just
That's
your
just my
opinion.
He also was the best left-handed pitcher in the sport before he became a hitter.
I was watching the game yesterday, and there was a pitch at the end that was on the outer half, and the Orioles picked up a base hit. And I sat there and thought to myself, how did Albert Pujols hit 703 home runs? I mean, these guys are throwing on the black 98 miles an hour with sink, and I'm thinking, how in the hell did he hit 703? He is the best right-handed hitter I have ever seen, and may go down as the best ever.
Yeah.
For me, he's the best ever I've ever seen.
So let's just take a quick look here. Let's just go to Baseball Reference, okay? And let's have fun with numbers. And this is only one number. 1918, Major League leader in home runs, Babe Ruth. 1919, Babe Ruth. 1920, Babe Ruth. 1921, Babe Ruth. 1922, Rogers Hornsby of the Cardinals. 1923, Babe Ruth. 1924, Babe Ruth. 1925, Rogers Hornsby. 1926, Babe Ruth. 1927, Babe Ruth. 1928, Babe Ruth. 1929, Babe Ruth. So, no. It's everybody else was playing against the same people that he was playing against, and he was dominating. So, no, he's not overrated.
No.
Thank God Jackie Robinson came along when he did, and all of a sudden that changed the game on so many levels, society, and the fact that you had black players that were in the game that could pitch, and it changed everything in that regard. I also think the fact that these players never had to face a split-finger fastball and probably did not face 98 to 100 every single game. I mean, those are all things that are factoring in, but, that's the area that he played in.
Yep. So pretty amazing. I'm going to give you one more, and we're going to get to some Tom Stillman stuff. But I'll give you one example of his sheer dominance. So let's go with the year that he hit the 60 home runs that Ruth hit 60. That was 1927. Second most in baseball was Lou Gehrig, who hit 47, his teammate, and then Hack Wilson hit 30. He hit twice as many as the next guy from another team.
That's what I was going to ask you, who's in second?
Yeah.
By the way, have you ever seen the numbers for Rogers Hornsby?
Oh, crazy.
They're unbelievable. Yeah. It doesn't get talked about enough in my mind.
Yeah. 1928, Ruth hits 54. Second place hits 31. 1929, he only beat Chuck Klein by 3.
In fairness to the texter, he's not saying he was overrated for his generation. He's saying that people that, like, because of the shift in baseball, because of the things you guys are talking about, he shouldn't maybe get mentioned in the same conversation as guys who did it in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and now, because of the talent he was playing against compared to what we know it has been for the last 40 or 50 years, which is integrated, specialized, so on and so forth.
I don't know the answer to this, but how did the walls, the dimensions of the outfield walls, how did those change over the years? Like you had a cavernous Busch Stadium too, and he had the porch at Yankee Stadium, but there were guys that played for a long time at the old Yankee Stadium that dealt with that too. I think the great thing about baseball is that the dimensions haven't changed,
right?
And that's why we always talk about the numbers.
Yep. But when you're comparing apples to apples, what he did against his competition versus anybody else relative to their competition, he was the most dominant player ever.
Most dominant ever.
Yep. Thank you, Matthew.
Hey, ready?
And thanks very much for your text. Coming up, Tom Stillman says that term will be one of the things the Blues look at when trying to re-sign Pavel Buchnevich. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love the Missouri Athletic Club, and that's because it feels like I've really joined a community. I go and work out twice a week with my personal trainer, Christine, and she is just so much fun. Every time I go over to the West location, I'm always greeted by everyone over there with a smile. The staff is just so nice, and they really get to know you. Also, this weekend, the pool is opening, so that will be a lot of fun over at the Missouri Athletic Club. You'll see me at the West location this weekend, and I also go over there and I play tennis with Scott just about every single week, and he's helping me improve my tennis game, the sport I played my entire life. So it really does just feel like I'm joining a community over there, and that's why I love my MAC.
perspective on today's top stories. This is Fresh Take.
Presented by Lindenwood University. Real experience, real success.
I suppose you'd start with a blanket statement. Who doesn't want to have Buchnevich on their team? It becomes a question of what makes sense with a player who I think will be 30 when his free agency comes around. Does that fit with our stage where we are, and especially what term does it take? Term is tough at that age. And so, a lot of factors will go into determining whether that makes sense for our team at that time.
That is Blues Chairman Tom Stillman joining us yesterday here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. It's 8:10 Time Check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. And I thought the most salient point that he made in that answer was, it depends. Is it sensible for where we are as an organization? As Tom Stillman mentioned, Pavel Buchnevich will be 30 when his new contract starts. If the Blues give him a 5-year deal, is he going to be a viable top 6 forward? Because you're going to be paying him as a top 6 guy when the Blues are ready to win a Stanley Cup again.
Well, especially after that conversation yesterday with Stillman, which I really, once again, want to say appreciate the transparency from him, the organization, on their viewpoints, how they just talk about things. But I think it was very clear about how they feel about things moving forward. It's the youth movement right now for the Blues and everything that they're doing. And even when they're looking at options for their organization moving forward, if you notice, Stillman, and we've heard Doug Armstrong as well, keep talking about the age. So that age is 30 and younger is what they're looking at. Now, Pavel Buchnevich, I think that he would be a hot commodity, especially when it comes to trade candidates and what you will be able to get from him. I know that he's had injuries, but still, he's been one of the most underrated scorers in the NHL over the past few years, averaging close to 30 goals and over 60 points in his 3 years since joining the Blues. So you can get something out of that with 1 year remaining. Now, I think there's also the question of what Buchnevich wants. I think, from what I understand and hear, is that he's wanting an 8x8 contract, which of course everybody does, right? But when you hear his age, what is he actually going to get? And I think that he might need to look at Vladimir Tarasenko as maybe a warning of how things could go.
Well, I would say that's the organization's warning. If he is in his prime years, 33 to 35, that gets you to when you think the Blues could be, with the young players, ready to make a run in the playoffs, but the back end possibly gets ugly with that deal. There are 3 things that I thought was really interesting with the interview with Tom Stillman. One, I appreciate, to your point, Brooke, his honesty. Fans may want more, and I understand that, but he's at least upfront about this being a retool and not a rebuild. Supplementing players that will be impactful in 2 years. He talked about that not necessarily maybe this offseason. Now, if they can do some things and get creative to where they know that these players are going to be helpful in the future, I think they would do that. And despite the TV deal, it sounds like in the next year or two, they still will spend money where you don't have that automatic check coming in, but they're going to make the games accessible to fans. What does that mean financially? Who knows? He even mentioned over the air is potentially being a factor with this. So he still said, though, we prepared for it and we're willing to spend and probably spend to the cap.
One of the things I wonder about Buchnevich is this, because he bought into my idea of a competitive rebuild. If you don't have Buchnevich on your team for the next 2 or 3, let's say the next 2 years.
I know where you're going, and I'm with you on this.
Can you be a playoff team?
No, I don't think you can. And young players need to learn how to win. They need to know how it is to get in the playoffs and what it's going to take.
Well, and also this offseason has changed so much because I think the Blues were, of course, hoping that Jimmy Snuggerud would be ready to go. And now, of course, that's not happening unless he decides to change his mind this summer, which he still has the ability to do. But I think he's pretty set on staying with Minnesota. So that changes things as well for your offseason approach. And here's the thing. They still need a number 2 center.
Right.
That's the thing.
And he's the guy right now.
Buchnevich is the guy for them. So you can't exactly move on from him just yet.
I wonder what you'd get for, at this time, a full year for Buchnevich instead of getting just a trade deadline pickup. what is the value of trading him now as opposed to waiting when you get towards the trade deadline?
And is there a player? See, that's the thing. You used to be able to make a trade for a player. You used to be able to give up Joe Nieuwendyk for Jerome McGinley. You used to be able to give up Ramage and Walmsley for Brett Hull. Now, if teams have a player, they don't trade them. They trade picks, but they won't trade players. And I think it'll be really difficult to get anything of value that's going to help you in the immediate for Buchnevich. I would be, if I'm in the Blues' shoes, unless he just asked for if he won't come off an 8x8 contract, I would do everything I could to sign him. But the other issue you have is you do want to be able to trade him when he's 33. And so I would be reluctant to give him the no trade. I've got to find a creative way where I can trade him in the first 3 years of a deal.
Don't you want him, though?
I do. I want him.
Like at age 33.
Yeah, but depending on what happens, I'm the same way with Binnington, actually. And Binnington's got 3 years left on his deal. I do want him the way he's performing right now, but what if I don't rise up? What if I'm not as close to the playoffs in 3 years as I thought it was going to be?
Then I deal him.
Right. He's just not worth the money. So I want to have a creative no trade for him.
Yeah.
Would teams, though, have an appetite to take on the back end of the deal?
That's the question.
If Brooks' point, to her point, if you go 8x8, so I'll take the first couple of years, I'll take 33, ages 33 to 35, but on the back of it, it can get a little ugly as you go down the stretch with that.
And that's the biggest thing is who would buy into that in that situation. And Buchnevich, he's a huge asset, so I don't want to see him go in any way. It's just, I feel like the Blues are in a position where if you're saying that you are doing this competitive rebuild, which he kind of said he didn't put like a name to it exactly yet. Stillman did yesterday, so we kind of put the competitive rebuild in his mind. So it's just envisioning how this exactly looks, because if you want to make the playoffs, I think Buchnevich has to be a part of this team to be able to accomplish that. And then the thing is even with Snuggerud coming next year, he's still young. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be fully ready to go just yet. Having Buchnevich around for that as well would be a huge asset. But it depends on Buch and exactly what he wants. Now, if his camp wants 8x8, I think they're going to have a hard time anywhere probably getting that possibly. Mm-hmm. But listening to him during the end of season press conference, and I know that every player says this where they want to stay, but he definitely wants to be with whichever team is going to be competitive and looking to make the playoffs.
Okay, so you don't want to give him the 8. If you're the Blues, you put yourself in Army and Stillman shoes right now. Would you go 45 over 5? Would you go 9 a year over 5 years?
Well, that's a hefty price.
That's expensive.
I love the years.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like the price of $9 million a year.
Your other guys are 8.8, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know either, but your cap is going up at least. But he's got to be one of your premier players. If you're going to pay him that much money, he's got to be one of your premier players. But I would guess if you're not going to give him term, then you're going to have to give him money.
So some of the young players, though, are going to start to make money during the term, and I want to have flexibility to make sure that they're in this thing long term at a different age, much younger than Buchnevich is at this point in that contract.
Okay, so let me go 42.5 over 5.
I'd be really intrigued to do that.
8.5 a year?
Yeah.
Why not? I'm still
That's
getting ages 33,
viable.
34, and 35.
Yeah, okay, good. That is today's Fresh Take here, and I agree. We're all in that same boat. We go 42.5 over 5.
Yeah.
Done deal. Thank you. You're welcome, Army.
I don't think Buch is on board with us.
His agent's probably. Well, his agent's listening. Coming up,
probably.
That's our Fresh Take. Coming up, the Cardinals are apparently going to go with Matthew Liberatore on Saturday. Is that the best move long term for the Cardinals? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, Danny Mac for Stewart's American Mortgage on this Thursday morning. Stewie joins us on 101 ESPN. And I know, Stewie, you want to get into cash-out refinances.
That's right. People sit on the sidelines. They say, hey, I got a mortgage, $200,000, 3% I got during COVID, but you know what? I amassed $60,000 in debt. My wife wants new appliances. I got to build a deck on the back. I don't want to lose that 3%, but what do? If they go ahead and they charge their credit cards, the credit score goes down, all of a sudden they're in a pickle. They don't know how to get out of it. Forget about the 3%. Look at the whole picture. Don't get a home equity line of credit. Those are variable rates. Combine everything. Get one low payment that'll improve your cash flow. It'll improve your quality of life. You'll get what you need. Rates will go down later. We'll bring you back down then.
This is what makes great, Stewie. If you are a new homeowner or looking to purchase, he is going to get you to the closing table fast. Try 10 days. He'll get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the bagel loan. You hear that all the time. That can help you out, too. So what's the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, no closing costs. Stewart, he is your guy. He makes it easy. So questions on rates, industry, the trends, give him a call. He's got his personal cell phone on right now. So give him a call or text him, 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan. That a boy,
MLS
Stewie.
number 226715.
This guy called incorrigible. Terrible. Somebody would do that to me. Matthew Liberatore is going to get the start for the Cardinals on Saturday. And the question is, and this has been talked a lot about with BK and Ferrario, because the Cardinals don't show any inclination to bring up one of the kids, whether it's McGreevy or Gordon Graceffo or Sem Robertson or Tink Hence. They haven't shown that inclination to this point. So what do the Cardinals do for the long term? You don't want to have, I don't think, Matthew Liberatore starting all the time. You aren't in a position now at this time of year to make a trade. So do you go out and sign a free agent? Brad Keller, recently released by the White Sox. Brad Keller, right? Mitch is the one with the Pirates.
Correct.
And Brad's the former Royale with cheese.
And former White Sox.
Yeah, right. I would sign a free agent.
Really? Mm-hmm. Right now, you would go and do that?
Yeah, and it'll take a month to get that guy ready, so you don't have him until the All-Star break.
And they're working out on the side, so maybe you give him 2 weeks, or do you think a month?
I would say a month.
Okay.
How
But what about with Zach Thompson and his return? Andre Palante, they're still stretching him out as a starter. You do have Sim Robertson available. You have Kloffenstein, who is also on your 40-man. So when are these guys going to be available?
They clearly are. If the Cardinals aren't bringing these guys up, that tells us something. What do you got, Brooke?
What do I have?
On the text line.
On
You
the
got
text
something on
line.
the text line?
You should sign Trevor Bauer.
Why should you sign Trevor Bauer when there's a better pitcher available on the market? Why not sign Julio Urias?
Oh, well, he's dealing with some legal issues.
Isn't Trevor Bauer?
Yeah.
He's got lawsuits filed against him. Well, Julio Urias is a better pitcher than Trevor Bauer, and he's pitched more recently. He won 20 games a couple of years ago.
Would you guys, though, rather see and give a minor leaguer a chance than what you have right now?
I personally would, but the Cardinals aren't showing that inclination. I don't think they'll sign a free agent either. I'm going to be real about it. But if I'm in charge, I would be more inclined to give a youngster an opportunity. But there are people that are out there still on the market. Johnny Cueto. So he'd be fun to have. I think Zach Greinke's probably ready for MLB 2000, the show. I don't think that he can just play at home.
Okay.
Right?
He could just play at home.
Yeah.
Randy.
Well, I'm
savage.
Just saying it. Rich Hill is out there. He's got a fun motion.
He said he wants to come back and pitch down the stretch for a contending team.
He's a former Cardinal. We had him one time.
Isn't that unbelievable? It was like back in 1977 they had him.
Yeah.
And he's still throwing.
Right. I wanted Zach Davies like 4 years ago.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore, no. There's not many other free agents out there until you get down towards the bottom of the list, and you've got Mad Bum.
I want to see a minor league guy come up, and I realize that they probably think that realistically these guys aren't ready. But if you're not going out and signing somebody, I want to cover and hedge my bets with Matthew Liberatore in the bullpen, and now being stretched out, he can give you multiple innings, take away maybe some of the pressure of the big three that they have in Romero, Kittredge, and Helsley, so he can cover some of those innings and give one of these minor league guys a shot. This is where they've been really good in the past, where they've been able to find that one minor league player, maybe two, that can come up and bridge the gap for guys that are injured. But man, it's frustrating because they just haven't done it yet, and now you put it's kind of unfair for Liberatore to put him in the rotation at this point.
Yeah.
Graceffo has pitched better of late. His ERA down to 3.88. He's won 4 games. He's made 9 starts. He's thrown 48 2/3. At some point, as you've mentioned, Dan, he's 24. He was your minor league pitcher of the year in 22. Why not give Graceffo an opportunity and find out what at least let your people get their hands on him and take a look at him up here?
I got to see his velocity stay sustained, and velocity had been down at parts this year, is inconsistent. Last time out, hit 95, 96. So if he can do that repeatedly, give him a couple starts to do that, then I'd think that maybe he is a guy that you would bring up. Roberse does not have a lot of minor league experience in terms of being at AAA. Maybe you let him go for another month, and Liberatore's the guy that covers it. Now, they're going to feel some pressure if Liberatore does not turn things around as a starter. They're just going to feel pressure with this, and maybe they have to go outside the organization and sign. Like Brad Keller is going to give you 5 innings. You're getting that anyway out of some of these guys.
Yeah, I don't need to get Brad Keller. By the way, this month down in Memphis, and Memphis is a different animal, I will grant you that, but Graceffo 2-2 with a 2.92, 22 strikeouts and 24 2/3.
What do you think a 2.92 then transfers to Major League Baseball? 4.5?
Yeah,
ERA?
I would say 4.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, man. I mean, give him a shot. Because right now it can't get any worse with what you see with Liberatore, and it's no disrespect to him. I think he's a really good major league pitcher coming out of the bullpen, but if he's only going to give you 3 innings and you're trailing 3 or 4 to nothing, that doesn't give you the best shot to win.
It just doesn't feel like the right situation for him. And I think that's the most frustrating part, is because he has been so good out of the pen, and now they're just in a very tight situation where they don't really have any other options. I'm with you, Dan and Randy. I think that I would just rather see one of these younger guys. I don't see them signing someone. In my opinion, your time to do that that was during the offseason, because we knew that this was likely going to happen with Steven Matz again with an injury, and it puts your starting rotation in a tough position, but it also puts your bullpen in a really tough situation as well, where we talked about that's been one of the biggest things for them this season, if not the biggest, is that the bullpen has been steady. But, I mean, you talked about it earlier, Dan, the usage that we're seeing from the bullpen. You worry about this in May.
And we love what John King has done for this month, but can he sustain it? Liberatore has the stuff to be able to sustain pitching well out of the bullpen for a while.
In multiple innings now, for sure. Stretched out the way that he is. And when you watch him pitch out of the bullpen, and I think it's interesting for fans if you're watching, I just see, number one, mound presence is way different. I see a guy that's very confident. And not to say I don't always see that as a starter, but he gets his fastball in on righties. He's able to challenge in on righties, because when you're a reliever, you let it fly. You're only going to be out there maybe for three outs, so let it go. Let your velocity take over. He's got a tremendous breaking ball. So I think that he's just a better reliever at this point in his career. And maybe that changes. Maybe he turns into a starter that they want him to be. But for right now, your best bet is having him in the bullpen. I truly believe that.
Oh, by the way, I don't know where Zach Thompson is in terms of his velo, which is Katie Wu said that's a long-term project, getting his velo and his weight back. But 5 games, 4 starts at AAA, 1-0 with a 2.29, 22 strikeouts in 19 2/3.
It was weird, too. The other day, he had just a ton of walks, you know, and that has been at times a problem in the minor leagues. Not so much in the big leagues, but that tells me mechanically he's probably a little out of whack as he's trying to get that velocity back.
What do you think about the ABS system in the minors that we're seeing right now? Because I've seen a lot of people talk about that and how that's affecting things. I remember Zach Thompson, didn't he mention last year about the ABS system down there and how that is affecting and maybe inflating some of these numbers we're seeing?
Yeah, and he was using the curveball a lot, and that can change things when you're throwing the curve.
And when you're throwing 91, 92... coming out of the pen or as a starter, it's just not going to fly.
That's the biggest thing with him. He's got to get his velo back. Coming up next year on 101 ESPN, we've got a guy going for the Hall of Fame. What's his name? Jerry's going for the Hall of Fame today on the fight.
You know his name, Randy.
I do now, Jerry. Jerry's going for the Hall of Fame next on the fight on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. Finally, the Cardinals completed their first sweep of the season after picking up a 3-1 win in the completion of Tuesday's rain delay game and then holding the Orioles off for a 5-4 victory in the second game of the day. It was the first time the Orioles have been swept in a series since 2022. The win was the 5th in their last 6 games and 8th in their last 10 for the Cardinals, who matched their longest winning streak of the year. The bullpen combined to allow only 1 run over 8 innings spread between the 2 games. The Cardinals will have the day off today before hosting the Cubs for the first time this season in a 3-game series starting on Friday night.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Get a head start on the holiday weekend by heading to the Fenton Bar and Grill for one of their tantalizing burgers. They're absolutely breathtaking. You'll love it. They're perfectly prepared. They're perfectly seasoned, and they're just magnificent with fresh lettuce and tomato and delicious cheese. You talk about a great burger with tater tots at the Fenton Bar and Grill. It's absolutely fantastic. And today, you head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill. You can enjoy some of their gumbo. That's their soup of the day on Thursdays, and it is fantastic. And you can stop by and say hi to Alicia and Kelly and Megan and the gang. They're going to serve you with a smile. They're very friendly. They're a lot of fun. And the people at the Fenton Bar and Grill, your fellow customers, are going to be a lot of fun. And now Fenton Bar and Grill has their very own beer. Stop by for lunch or happy hour dinner and try the Fenton Bar and Grill Hard-Working Lager. It is fantastic, and people tell me that it's one of their favorite beers that is in the St. Louis area. If you want to do a large party, get in touch with the big boss man Chuck at the Fenton Bar and Grill, 2 minutes away from the soccer park. If you're looking for a great place for lunch today, happy hour this afternoon, maybe dinner tonight, it's the Fenton Bar and Grill. FentonBarandGrill.com. Tell them Randy sent you.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals take 2 wins yesterday, finishing off Game 2 of the series against the Orioles with a 3-1 victory thanks to a Nolan Gorman 2-run shot. And then in Game 3 of the series, they finish off the sweep with a 5-3 victory. Last night in the NBA playoffs, the Dallas Mavericks opened up the Western Conference Finals with a 108-105 victory over the Timberwolves. And in the start of the Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL playoffs, the Florida Panthers have opened up a 1-0 lead with a 3-0 win over the Rangers. Stars and Oilers, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 7 p.m. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American heating and air conditioning dealer.
Drive. Brooke, Dan, and Rocchio here, and it is time for the fight. And returning, this is Hall of Fame, isn't this? This is a chance at the Hall of Fame. Jerry, welcome back.
Thanks, Brooke. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so you said yesterday the way you celebrated is that you beat it on your chest and then you ripped off your shirt, right? To celebrate. So what did the celebration look like after yesterday's victory?
I pulled out a trick from the Wizard and started doing backflips.
Oh, wow. Do you realize the pressure that you may be under right now and how monumental this may be? Well, I got to ask.
Dan, I appreciate it.
But I know that you don't feel pressure. You've got ice water in your veins, and even though this could be a monumental moment in 101 ESPN history, you are ready to go. I'm assuming that you're ready to go, and you're just putting all that stuff aside and just be a gamer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, well, let's get it going. Here's question 1.
All right, Jerry Will, if you weren't already nervous, you probably are nervous now. Only 2 quarterbacks have thrown for 350-plus yards in 3 Super Bowls. Tom Brady and who else? Is it Patrick Mahomes, John Elway, or Kurt Warner?
We'll go with Mahomes.
Who is the only St. Louis Ram to tally 5+ pick sixes? Is it Janoris Jenkins, O.J. Otagwe, or Dre Bly?
We'll go. I guess I got to go Janoris Jenkins.
On to question 3.
Who is the last Cardinal to lead the league in errors, doing so for 3 consecutive seasons? Is it Mark McGwire, Johnny Peralta, or Gary Templeton?
Johnny seemed like he always had a sure glove. I guess. We'll go Gary Templeton.
Okay, who is the only Cardinal to play in 163 games in a Cardinals season? Was it Keith Hernandez, John Mabry, or Jose Oquendo?
Gotta go the secret weapon. I'll go Jose Oquendo.
Tell you what, Jerry. Nice work, my man. Nice work. I'm going to go get Randy.
How are you feeling? Jerry, how are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling all right.
Just all right? I don't
yeah,
know.
You never know. You never know against Randy.
Oh, here comes Randy. The propel has been thrown away, so he finished that up. Where are the grapes today?
They're done. I ate them.
Already? Oh, you made sure that you were fueled for the fight today.
Yes.
This is a Hall of Fame chance right here.
Yeah.
Say hi to Jerry again.
Jerry, good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Randy. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing.
All right. Randy is locked in. You ready for question number 1?
I'm ready.
Only 2 quarterbacks have thrown for 350-plus yards in 3 Super Bowls. Tom Brady and who else?
I'm going to go with Kurt Warner.
Right off the bat, Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner, 365, 404, and then he was over 350 again with the Arizona Cardinals, too.
Against the Steelers.
Yep.
Are you ready for question 2?
Ready.
Who is the only St. Louis Ram to tally 5+ pick sixes?
Only St. Louis Ram with 5+ pick sixes. I don't think Jack Rabbit was here long enough to do that. I don't think Keith Lyle did. I'm thinking Atagwe had a pretty good run. I'll do the lifeline, though, just to make sure.
Janoris Jenkins, O.J. Atagwe, or Dre Bly?
Well, that kind of narrows it down, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Jack Rabbit was 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't think he had 5 and 4. So I'm going to go with Atagwe.
On to question 3.
Who is the last Cardinal to lead the league in errors, doing so for 3 consecutive seasons?
3 consecutive years leading the league in errors. This would have had to have been probably an infielder, shortstop, maybe second baseman. That had a lot of opportunities, maybe a third baseman. Boy, that's a lot of errors too. So I don't think we've had this in a long time. Let's see. I'll go with Gary Templeton.
On to question 4. Are you ready, Randall?
Ready.
Who is the only Cardinal to play in 163 games in a Cardinals season?
I believe that would have been Jose Oquendo.
All right, Matthew, do your thing.
Well, there's only one possible way that this fight could go. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a tiebreaker. Hey, let's go. Here we go. All right, let's get into the tiebreaker question. Before we do, though, this is Jerry's first time doing a tiebreaker, so protocols, rules, so on and so forth. Jerry, I'm going to read out the question. Randy Carricker's then going to get a moment to write down his answer. After he's written down his answer and showed it to everyone here in studio, we are then going to get your answer audibly. And whoever is closest to the pin is going to be the winner of today's fight. Jerry, do you understand those rules?
Yep, I got it.
All right. Here we go.
I'm nervous.
You want to make sure
I'm nervous.
Do you want to make sure I have paper?
Do you have paper, Randy? Sorry, I forgot to ask. Do you have a pen?
Lindenwood paper? And a
See,
Sharpie?
now we're checking on everything.
Oh, we have to talk about that
So-
paper. That Lindenwood paper.
Lindenwood University paper.
Lindenwood.
One of the answers to today's question was, in fact, Janoris Jenkins. So the question for you is, Jack Rabbit played 12 years in the NFL. I honestly can't believe it actually was that long. It was weird. He played 12 years in the NFL. How many career interceptions did he finish with? He played 12 seasons in the NFL, technically.
Yep.
How many interceptions did he finish with? Just a moment, Jerry. Randy Carricker is writing down his answer.
I am going to go with...
Got it, Randall.
Writes down that number. Jerry, Randy Carricker has made his guess. What is your guess, sir?
We'll say 26.
Randy Carricker, what is your guess?
I said 28, sir.
Oh, my gosh.
Is it 27?
Picked off 27 passes in his career. You guys are just mean. All right, fine. We'll go to a big...
Oh, my gosh.
We'll go to a big crazy number because Randy answered 28. We'll go to a big crazy number that you guys will not get correctly. There's no way you both get this one. All right.
Never doubt, Randall.
All right. One of the few players in the 21st century to cross 3,000 strikeouts in his career is John Smoltz. How many strikeouts did he finish his career with? One of the few players to cross the 3,000 strikeout threshold in the 21st century is John Smoltz. Randy, can I see that number again, sir, please?
Sure.
How many career strikeouts did Mr. John Smoltz finish his career with? Jerry?
We'll go with 3,179.
All right, I legitimately do have to do some quick math here, just to make sure. All right, we are all good. We have a winner in today's fight as we go to a second question in the tiebreaker. Does Jerry walk away today a Hall of Famer? Or does Megamind somehow put up a wall? Not through 4 questions, not through one tiebreaker, but through another tiebreaker. Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis. With the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
The air horns.
Jerry, as close as someone has ever gotten into the hall without actually walking in, I'm sorry, sir. Randy Carricker takes you down today. John Smoltz finished with 3,084 career strikeouts. Randy Carricker was just about 60 off. You were 90 off. An unbelievable fight today, considering a 3-3 tie and the first tiebreaker both being one away. Absolutely incredible job, Jerry.
I I appreciate it. That was close, but good job, Randy.
Good job, Jerry. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us.
I haven't been witness to heartbreak like that in a long time. That was, well, not that long.
Heartbreak.
That was tough. Let's go through the questions and answers. Only 2 quarterbacks have thrown for 350-plus yards in 3 Super Bowls. It's Tom Brady and is, in fact, Kurt Warner. Over 414, 364. I think you got that one right on the nose. And then 377 for the Cardinals against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is, in fact, Janoris Jenkins, the only St. Louis Ram to tally 5+ pick sixes. He only picked off 10 passes as a Ram, and he took 5 of them back for 6. The last Cardinal to lead the league in errors, doing so for 3 consecutive seasons, is, in fact, Gary Templeton at the start of the 1980s. He led it outright 2 years, and then he actually shared the lead in that third year in 1981, or 1982, excuse me. And the only Cardinal to play in 163 games in a Cardinals season. Somehow, though, still not playing in every single game the Cardinals played that year, because in 1989, the Cardinals played 164 games, but Jose Oquendo played in 163 of them, the only Cardinal to ever play in 163 games. So we had a 3-3 tie. That took us to the career question about Janoris Jenkins' interceptions. He has 27. Jerry guessed 26, Randy guessed 28 somehow, and then it was John Smoltz that finally finished off the fight. Again, Jerry, thank you so much for joining us the last couple days. You have a great day.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Jerry. Thank you.
Good job,
That
by
is
Jerry.
unbelievable. Honestly, this is the first time I've actually been bummed that a guy didn't get into the Hall of Fame.
I'm not.
Because that was
Of course you were.
that was unbelievable.
But still, he has to be an undercover trivia guy. Because he was just very
Was he doing it without options?
No, I mean, no. But still, it's just that he was very casual about it. And then it turned out to this, a great showdown.
Sometimes guys ask to do it without options. So
I was nervous. I mean, I was so nervous I could hardly contain myself.
I'm glad you're okay now.
I'm all right now.
Good.
Dan, you were sweating over there.
I was.
Coming up, our Blues insider Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to share with you something that I wish I knew about a while ago, and that is Golden Oak Lending. Listen, we've all been there before, racking up credit card debt or maybe even student loans. I know that I've had to deal with that before, but the people over at Golden Oak Lending, they are there to help you. While credit card payments have been at an all-time high and mortgage rates have gone through the roof, there is good news. Mortgage rates have started to come down. Golden Oak Lending has mortgage rates at 5.375% fixed, with customers saving on average $1,114 a month. Golden Oak just makes it so easy. I actually called in and I spoke with Jason, who made the call just super quick and professional. He educated us on our current loan on our house and what to look for in the future. Finance has really never been my thing, but Jason made sure to really educate and guide me to the best solution for my needs. And that's what they do there at Golden Oak Lending. Personalized service that really makes you feel heard and really addressing your needs and stress surrounding finances. So call today at 314-567-GOLD now to get started, or go to goldenoaklending.com and see the reviews for yourself and where to get started. 5.934% APR, FHA, 15-year fix with 20% equity and qualified credit. Additional terms apply. MLS number 114937.
Nuggets. It's time for the Rutherford Report with our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Brooke, Dan, and Randy, and our Blues insider from The Athletic is Jeremy Rutherford. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning, although my heart is still pumping fast. Oh, my goodness. If Rocchio would have asked a WNBA question in the overtime there, and you had lost, I already told myself I wasn't going to answer the phone.
How about Caitlin Clark off to an 0-5 start with the Indiana Fever? Not great.
Yeah.
How about you knowing that?
Thank you, JR. I'm impressed. Okay, you did your one-on-one, which is up at The Athletic with Tom Stillman. You heard our interview with him yesterday. As you talk to him and then you listen to him with us, what's your biggest takeaway from what Tom Stillman is saying this offseason?
Well, I think that organizationally they're acknowledging where they're at and they're making the decisions based on that. So I know I listened to your guys' great interview with him, too, and he mentioned on several occasions, look, this is where we are. And I actually, like you guys, talked to him about that honesty. And if there's just some sort of blueprint behind the scenes, hey, let's be honest with everybody and tell everybody where we're at. I know that the Cardinals often get criticized for that. Tom, by the way, was quick to say that nothing but, praise for the Cardinal organization for what they've done for decades. And he said, I don't think it's a situation of not being honest with the Cardinals. He hates to hear the criticism of the Cardinals, but he says for what they want to do, they want to be upfront with fans. And like he told you guys, why not do that? You don't have to keep track of the fibs, as he told you guys.
Another thing that I know that you were listening to is when we discussed about Pavel Buchnevich and what they are looking at with him, just based on that conversation with Stillman, what do you think realistically is going to happen with Buchnevich? I know there's a million different situations, but just with what you hear and where they're at right now, what do you think will happen with Buch?
Yeah, Brooke, I just think that the Blues are in a really good spot with him because he does have one more year left on his deal. So if they decide to hang on to him and perhaps not trade him until the trade deadline or what have you, they're going to get another year out of Pavel Buchnevich at a really good price. So I think that, they're going to talk to him. As Doug Armstrong said, Pavel Buchnevich said that we're looking forward to having that conversation. And look, if they can find a deal that makes sense for both sides, then perhaps he's here longer than this year. As Tom touched on, the term is going to be the issue. How do you give a guy who's going to be 30 years old 8 years on a deal? The Blues are already in a position where they can't unload some of the contracts with the guys who are on those 8-year deals and going to be into their mid-30s. So I think that you're going to get a year out of Pavel Buchnevich, and the only way that doesn't happen is if you find a deal that you like this offseason and you make that trade.
NHL-wide, JR, we got into the TV deal specifically with the Blues and what they may have to do or what it looks like. But what are you hearing about that just NHL-wide as a lot of these teams are in the same kind of deal and what it may mean for spending or what the outlook may be with that?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing Tom said. So there's some more honesty right behind the scenes with what the league is kind of checking out all the options. And, if it doesn't work out with Bally Diamond Sports, then what can they do? And I know that a number of different avenues have been mentioned the past year, talking about the different forms of streaming, so on and so forth. But I just think that they're trying to prepare themselves for any direction that they might have to go. I don't think, and again, we're listening to what Tom said yesterday. We're listening to what the league has said. I don't think that they have a plan. They know what they're going to do. They're ready to go in that direction, and they're just waiting for something to happen to get to that point. I really do think that, they have the 2 or 3 options. And if it gets to that point with Diamond Valley, which has been, a good revenue source over the years, then they'll take that approach. But they still have to get to that point before they pursue those other options.
JR, I'm hearing rumblings that the Blues and the Ottawa Senators might actually discuss Brady Tkachuk. Have you heard anything to that point? And would it surprise you? Because it would surprise me if Brady Tkachuk were put on the market and made available by the Ottawa Senators.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I was sitting with Tom there at Starbucks and I asked him about this offseason, and he said, I think it's going to be exciting going to be interesting. And then he said, well, let's just say that it already is. He knows something that they're working on behind the scenes, and wanted to probe down that road a little further. But obviously, Tom isn't going to give up Doug's plans on what they're doing. But to talk about Brady Tkachuk, yeah, I think going back to that report last year, I think it was Whitney with Spittin' Chicklets. He said that hearing that Tkachuk could be available, I think there's perhaps something to it. And I think, obviously the Blues would have some interest. He's in that age bracket that they continue to talk about, and he's a dynamic player. Is he a 100-point guy? Maybe not, but he does everything else. And I think most of all, what he would do for this team is bring that passion. I think that we've seen that they've been lacking on a lot of nights. And so I don't have any concrete information in terms of talks with Ottawa, but I think that he likely is available, and I think that the Blues would definitely check into that situation.
So what would you think that the Senators would be wanting in return?
Well, I think, they've had a couple of years now, Brooke, where they thought they were there. They thought they were, a playoff team, and they haven't gotten there. And now they have the new ownership and the new general manager in Steve Stais. And, if it's not working out with Brady Tkachuk in terms of, him wanting to be there and or, them being pleased with the job that he's doing, then perhaps if they decide to move him, they're still going to want to be a team that's trying to contend now. So that I don't think would be a situation where they're trading Brady Tkachuk for picks and prospects and trying to look towards the future. So I think that would be a situation, Brooke, where they're looking for players who can come in and help immediately. Is that Pavel Buchnevich, who we just talked about? Is it Jordan Kyrou? I think they're going to want some offense, and they're going to want some players who can try to make them a playoff team now. And by the way, I think with a guy like Brady Tkachuk, I've talked to some people in and around that situation in a little bit, and he said that after the season, he felt like they were on the same page as far as next year goes. Beyond next year, we don't know. Could that timetable come quicker if they find the right deal to make a trade? I don't know, but he felt at the end of the season that those two sides, both the Ottawa Senators and Brady Tkachuk, were on the same page in terms of next year.
JR, we don't know how long this retool will take. It could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Who knows? I mean, no one has a full understanding of that. It's dependent on these young players maybe being projected to be stars and turn into that. So my question would be, are there any players that you could see that the Blues would trade for or sign that would make sense down the road, meaning in 2 or 3 years, but they had to bring him in to the fold right now?
Yeah, that's a really, really tough question to answer, Dan, and I'm not dodging it, but it's a situation like this. As Tom told you, and he told me too, that you're looking for players in that 22, 23, 24 age bracket in terms of players who you could potentially trade for. And typically those players are restricted free agents. The teams still have their rights. And also, it's so hard to know if those guys are available. You can talk about the names, you can talk about the numbers they've put up, you can talk about the fit that they could be in St. Louis, but are they available? Why would their teams be willing to give up on them at 22, 23? That's why Tom said to me, you just can't get your hands on those guys most of the time. So I think those are the types of players that the Blues are after, and those are just the phone calls that you make if you're Doug Armstrong to find out. I will say this. It didn't make it into my article, but Tom did say this. I get asked a lot of times, why are the Blues okay with Doug Armstrong being the Team Canada GM or in charge of everything? Doesn't he have enough to do here in St. Louis to fix the Blues? And the answer to that, guys, as Tom said a couple days ago, is because of his role with Team Canada, he has his hand in so many different areas, and he's in so many different conversations learning about those particular situations. Hey, teams might want to move on this guy. I'm going to pick up the phone and call them. So I think to answer the question that people ask me all the time, Doug Armstrong being part of Team Canada is a good thing for the Blues because he can find out about those situations that he might not otherwise hear about.
Hey, JR, I can name 5, maybe 10 players in the league that are better than Matthew Tkachuk, but top 5 most impactful, Matthew Tkachuk. Last night he gets the winner. He's always there at crunch time. I don't know if there is such thing as a clutch gene, but he seems to have it. Would you agree with me that he's one of the 5 most impactful players in the league?
For sure, what he does to a game, and I just read there's a story by Mike Russo up at The Athletic right now, and it's got a kind of a cool headline. It says, Matthew Tkachuk doing everything minus the flash, but this is a good thing. Last year, he was on, he's scoring overtime winners, and he was the guy just about every night. Well, this year, you're not seeing the game winners, but he's got 16 points. He's doing everything on the forecheck. A couple big hits last night, including one on Vincent Trocheck. And the stat that stuck out to me in the story here, guys, in the playoffs, Matthew Tkachuk, 59 playoff games played, 23 goals, 55 points. So he's almost a point-per-game player in the playoffs. Maybe not the headline guy in terms of who they're talking about each night in this playoff, but he's getting the job done, and he's got Florida in a really good spot after that Game 1 win.
JR, you've been around this a long time. As you watch the playoffs and then you evaluate the Blues, how far away are the Blues from being at least a playoff team going into next year?
Yeah, I think they've got some work to do. I think that even though the defense was better this year, Dan, I think there's a lot of room for improvement in that area, and I think that they're going to need a finisher. We touched on that with the Blues survey. I think that they got a couple guys up front who can score, but I just think there's got to be a go-to guy. There's got to be a guy on the power play who you can count on to punch it in. And then I think they need a little more depth up front, too. So I think Doug Armstrong this year, you listen to Tom Stillman say that it could get interesting. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve. But I think this offseason is going to have to be one where maybe you get incrementally better and maybe you make the playoffs. But I think that a win this offseason would be moving some contracts so that you're able to move forward and take that money and use it in a different way to benefit the team as a lot of these young prospects come in.
See, I was nice during this, wasn't I?
Yeah, because you got the win, you got the W. And, hey, I was going to give you another reason to be to put a smile on your face is when I walked into that interview with Tom Stillman. I mean, come on, the odds of this happening. I'm walking into the Clayton Starbucks to meet Tom Stillman and sit down with him, and a guy walks by the Starbucks and he's wearing a T-shirt that says "Kroenke sucks."
I love that guy. That's awesome. Great. Hey, JR, thanks so much for the time. Have a happy holiday weekend with you and your family. Enjoy, do some barbecuing, and we'll talk to you next week.
You guys, too. Get that Traeger going.
We'll do it, brother. Thank you. Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider from The Athletic on 101 ESPN. Continue to read his work. If you haven't subscribed, The Athletic is sensational. He and Katie Wu, him with the Blues, Katie Wu with the Cardinals, doing fantastic work covering our teams. The Rush Hour reset next on 101 ESPN. I've been telling you about if you need a car and you don't have a trade and you need to go to autoloanpro.com. A couple of months ago, I found myself in that very situation. My car got totaled and I needed a new vehicle, and obviously my car was paid off, so it was older and I didn't have a lot of equity in it. So I went to autoloanpro.com and I downloaded their autoloanpro.com playbook and found out how everything works with autoloanpro.com, and then I got in touch with them and I was able to get a loan and a vehicle vehicle, and it was a breeze with AutoLoanPro.com. And with little to no money down, they're going to work really hard to make sure you get the best rate possible. I got a great rate. I got the payment that I wanted, and I got the vehicle that I wanted from Auto Loan Pro. And you can actually get vehicles. You've got drop-down menus at AutoLoanPro.com to find a car to your liking. They're working with over 50 lenders to help you get the very best financing available for you. And if you're financing a car, there's only one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro. If you can make a payment, they can get you in a new vehicle at AutoLoanPro.com.
On the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Our guy Kyle Gibson's going to join us in just a few minutes here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Dan, and Randy. It's 9:10. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Big game Gibby Jim, kind of done in a little bit by his defense yesterday, but the Cardinals did come away with a 5-4 victory over the Orioles in the second game after the suspension. We didn't talk enough earlier, guys, about Nolan Gorman hitting that 2-run homer to get things off and running at the bottom in the bottom of the sixth in the first game, the resumption of the suspended game.
Kind of took him off the hook, didn't it? Mm-hmm. And he drove in all three in that first game, and then in the second game it set up with Gibson, and then you went to your bullpen. You did have the rain delay, but the bullpen, that's what the storyline is for me yesterday. Finishing up game one, what they did in game two. You didn't have the usual suspects at the end of the game in game two, and others stepped up. The other part I look at is 9 consecutive games with an error on the flip side. They got to clean that up a little bit, but the big three, will they hold up? They're using them a lot when they have a chance to win. And how about our man, Ali Marmol? He has been ejected now a couple of times in the last 10 games, and both times it's worked out. So why not get ejected on Friday? Why not?
Yeah, why not? Because it seems to be working out. I think the first one was a little bit more by design to really get the troops and rally them around and have things work out in that way. But I think the last couple in the series that we've seen here, probably something else going on there. Balls and strikes, arguing that. You could definitely see the frustration and standing up for his players, but there's a lot of positives to take away. I know that you mentioned the errors, and that is a really good point and something that is concerning, but at the same time, this is a team that we've talked about. Looks like they're having fun. You beat a really, really good team on the other side. Could not have predicted that the homestand would be going in this direction. There's a lot of positives to take away from it. For me, in general, just the big picture of it all, of my biggest takeaway would be the supporting cast on many different levels. That's positional players, and also in your bullpen are really stepping up and kind of stealing the show, stealing the scene, the spotlight, everything right now for this team, which is what you needed.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about the big boys this year. Goldie appears to be finding a corner to turn. Arenado is hitting better. I mentioned Gorman. Gorman in the last 2 weeks, in 40 plate appearances, a 1.249 OPS, 4 homers, 9 RBIs, a couple of doubles, too, hitting his slash line, 323 batting average, 475 on base, 774 slug over the last 2 weeks for Nolan Gorman. So hopefully he's figured something out.
And he's finding spots against lefties, which is a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of the recipe that they thought would be the way that they were going to win games earlier in the season. The bullpen being a strength of their pitching staff, coming up with some of the young guys mixed in with the cornerstones and the corner guys. It's interesting. I don't know if today's a good day to have an off day or not. You want to get guys rest in the back end of the bullpen for sure, but with the way that you're playing, kind of want to get back to the ballpark and keep things going.
I thought about that too, but I wonder if the long night on Tuesday, and then you come back and you have to play the resume game, and then the day game yesterday. I wonder if this might be the best day with the Cubs coming to town for the Cardinals to have a day off at home.
I kind of think it is.
It is.
And I get rest with my back end of my bullpen too, which is so important if they're going to have a chance to win some of these games. And the other part that I don't want to forget is the play made by Lars Nootbaar.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of the defensive plays of the year. So if you didn't see it, game on the line, 9th inning, he goes back and makes a remarkable catch, basically up against the wall, and then doubles up Mullins running from first, which if he doesn't make the catch, he's going to score with his speed easily, and that would have been a tie game. So it was a game-saving catch by Lars Nootbaar.
It really was, and that's what I'm talking about with the supporting cast stepping up. Lars Nootbaar, Mason Wynn, all these guys, Alec Burleson. I mean, there's so many. Gorman, we're starting to see him turn around at the plate. So you're having the supporting cast of characters that are really just stealing the spotlight right now, which is, you just need it from anywhere at this point.
Right. NBA West Game 1, Mavs over the T-Wolves, 108-105. And in the NHL Playoffs, East Game 1, Panthers over the Rangers, 3-0. Matthew Tkachuk scoring the first and winning goal and also getting an assist. There you have your rush hour reset. Kyle Gibson, Cardinal right-hander, joining us next on 101 ESPN. If you are running a fast-growing business or you're an entrepreneur in the St. Louis area, you need to hear this. NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to St. Louis on Thursday, June 27th, and you don't want to miss it. Why St. Louis? Because NetSuite knows St. Louis is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. And all you need to do to apply to attend the business event of the year taking place at Union Station Hotel on Tuesday, June 27th is go to netsuite.com/Missouri. You learn how Missouri is paving the way for new business growth and capital, and see how technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses. And you're going to be inspired by business leaders like Jamie Simonov, the founder of Ring Video Doorbell, who is now headquartered his next company right here in St. Louis. NetSuite by Oracle's Business Grows Here is free to attend if you qualify. Apply right now to find out, because seats are going quickly. Again, block out that calendar for Thursday, June 27th at netsuite.com/Missouri, netsuite.com/Missouri, netsuite.com/Missouri. back. Brady Tkachuk, the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. And it's time for our weekly visit with Cardinal right-hander Kyle Gibson. Always good to have him on the Celebrity Line. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, good morning, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Okay, I know you're a total team player, and you're all about the team win. So when you allow 3 runs, but none of them are earned, what does that number, if anything, mean to you? The unearned run versus the earned run?
Yeah, I mean, I think in most situations, I really don't like giving up unearned runs, honestly, because, the defense, the offense, so many times they're going to pick you up and, they're going to make up for my mistakes. I'd like to be able to do the same as much as possible, and yesterday I wasn't able to do that. But so I don't like giving up earned or unearned, really, because I think if you can stop unearned runs, it really gives that team a lift. Because nobody wants to make a mistake, but when the pitcher's able to make up for it and lift those guys up, it's a big boost.
Yesterday was a big day of firsts for you guys. Just how did it feel, and what was the feeling in the clubhouse afterwards after getting that first sweep of the season?
Yeah, it's I think sometimes it can be taken for granted how hard that is, really. We've had chances throughout the year to do it. I don't know how many sweeps there are every year in the big leagues, but it's just not easy to do. It's just something, beating the same team 3 times in a row, whether it's hitters starting to figure out the pitchers or vice versa. Doing it 3 times in a row is tough. So to do it against a team like Baltimore, who's really good, who's just a gritty team, and obviously everybody knows they haven't been swept in a long time. So that kind of goes to show you how hard it is to do. But to do it against that team, who's pretty talented, was pretty good.
Kyle, you guys are off to a very good start on this homestand, and we were just talking about it before the break and before you came on. Is the off day for you guys, and momentum is a thing in baseball, so is the off day a good time for you guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime you can get off days and allow your pen to have a full day off, I think it's a big benefit. We threw a lot of guys the last 3 days in that series with the rain and kind of the weird times. So I think that's good. And I think as hitters, when you're in the middle of feeling good, and maybe I'm just, making this up and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I feel like if you're in the middle of feeling good, then it's an okay time for an off day. If you're right at the beginning and you have a game where you're like, oh man, I want to play again today, that felt good, maybe it's a little bit more of an issue. But I think our hitters are in a really good spot, and I think an off day and just kind of reset the system after a couple weird rain delays will be helpful.
Yeah, the hitters are in a really good spot, and the offense has really been performing well. And we've asked you about the offense before, and you said you really weren't that worried about it, and it would come around, and now it has. What have you seen change?
I think there's times all year where we've hit the ball really hard, and we just have had nothing to show for it. Or the other team has just really not given any chance to take advantage of any mistakes or anything like that. And I think as an offense and base running and hitting, we're really doing that. Gorman got a pitch from the lefty yesterday in the first game that I don't know if it was meant to be down in the strike zone or not, but that's Nolan's nitro zone right there, and he didn't miss it. We've been fouling off a lot of those pitches, I feel like, or hitting them on the screws right at people, and baseball has a way of evening itself out. We've had some bloops fall in. Finally, we've had some line drives find holes. Mason, I feel like, leads the league in line drives, and finally he had one again carry over the fence yesterday. So those type of things for an offense can be a boost when you start seeing those fall and seeing them go your way.
You feel better about being a pitch to contact pitcher when Mason Wynn is playing behind you?
Yes. Yeah. Anytime you have a defense like we have, it's definitely a good feeling to know that, I think I'm just going to throw this, 2-0 sinker down in the way, and I'm going to see if I can let him pull a ground ball to the left side.
When Jack Buck was alive and Ozzie Smith was playing, he'd say ground ball to short, bad place to hit it with Ozzie. And Wynn is kind of becoming that guy. He had the errors the other night. One of them, one was probably the second one. It was probably in his head a little bit, and the first one I don't think was his fault. But man, on the ground ball, he's pretty reliable.
Yeah, you know what? We're kind of like anytime it's to the left side of second base, we feel really good. And even to the right side, obviously Goldie's a Gold Glove, and we got so many second basemen that are really good. But I feel like if you're a hitter playing the Cardinals, you want to try to get that launch angle up a little bit and not even give the infielders a chance.
What's it mean, Kyle, that your manager comes out and backs you on strike zones and balls and strikes and winds up getting ejected, and you're standing out there, whether it be a situation like yesterday or times that you've had in your career? What does that mean when you see your manager back you like that?
Yeah, it's a good feeling. Obviously because it's frustrating in the moment. There's a lot of times where I think a ball's a strike and I go back and watch the video and it was just off, right? Catchers do a great job of making pitches look good, but when it's consistently happening to you as a hitter or a pitcher, and I don't think it's anything malicious, obviously, on the umpire's side. Normally it's pretty innocent. It's just them trying to make calls, and maybe their sights are just a little bit off. But it's a good feeling because, we obviously want to be yelling. We want to be screaming, but it's important for us to try and stay in the game and impact the game as long as we can.
Kyle, how heartening was it for you? I want to talk now about big league impact. Sunday night, swinging for impact at the Chesterfield Top Golf, and on the 26-man roster, you probably had, 22 of your players out there, 21 or 22, plus your manager and your pitching coach or your bench coach and several guys that are on the IL. How meaningful was that for you personally to have those guys show up for that event?
Yeah, first off, I want to thank you guys for being there. You and Brooke were great. emceeing that event takes a lot of pressure off myself and anybody else. So thank you guys and everybody at 101 ESPN consistently plugging it and pushing it and supporting that event really does mean a lot. So I appreciate that. But then as players, there's certain days. They had a long day at the park, and there's just certain times that I know it's tough to then commit more time. So to see as many players and wives and kids show up and support that is definitely meaningful. And I think it's a cool thing about the Cardinals culture that it's something that happens quite a bit, and that was pretty cool to be a part of for my first time in St. Louis.
Yeah,
how's your golf swing, by the way? Any good?
Pretty good.
How's my golf swing?
Yeah,
it's good.
I think there's some fine tuning that needs to be done, but I don't know. I like to think when I have an iron in my hand, I'm pretty confident. So that's all I hit. I was trying to go for the second and third target the other day. A little smooth 8-iron. That's my club of choice.
What's your handicap?
Oh, I don't even know that I play enough to have it, honestly. I base it off of how many golf balls I lose. So if I don't, so my normal number is 85. So if I went out today and shot an 85, I wouldn't be surprised. Every golf ball I lose, that number goes up. So I definitely have a chance of hitting to 90 if I lose a few golf balls. And then if I don't lose any golf balls and I sink a couple putts that I normally don't, because I'm an awful putter. If I sink a couple putts, then I got a chance to be around 82.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Nope.
Last question for me, Kyle. I saw
that's a wide gap. But that's how my handicap works.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
A +8 or a +18,
I was going to say, last question for me, Kyle. I saw you were wearing your Pacers jersey. So are you watching the game tonight between the Pacers and Celtics? And how are you feeling about your team so far?
Yeah, since being disconnected from Indy, I haven't watched the Pacers as much as I did as a kid. But going to Market Square Arena there in Indy, which probably needs to be one of the trivia questions for Randy at some point. Just some arena trivia, I think, would be great. Naming arenas, but being from Indy and getting to watch Reggie Miller and some of those teams in the mid '90s, it was a lot of fun. So then when they make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals and win the Game 7 for the first time in 30 years. I had the Reggie Miller jersey laying around, so I had to wear it. But, just listening to the games on the radio, driving back from the field and being able to watch them, they're a fun team to watch. They shot the lights out there in Game 7 and just, played a really good game against Boston, who, by all standards is, probably the best team in the East all year long. So, they played really well the other day. And, if my kids want to sit down and watch it with me, then I'll probably watch a few minutes tonight if we can.
Kyle, you have a basketball player's build. Did you play basketball in high school or any other time?
So playing basketball in Indiana is almost a prerequisite for living as a kid. So, I played basketball through 7th grade. And then, believe it or not, I hadn't hit a growth spurt yet. So I was about, probably 5'7" or 5'8". And I was nowhere near 100 pounds in 7th grade. So I kind of made a decision, all right, well, I don't know if I'm ever going to grow, so I'm just going to see if I can play shortstop here as long as I can. And sure enough, 3 years later, I'm 6'3" and still barely over 100 pounds. But, basketball is just a fun sport for me. I loved shooting, loved practicing, and wish I could have played a little bit longer, but I think it worked out okay.
It has worked out tremendously well. Okay, before we get to Big League Impact, I got to ask you this. Thumbs up or thumbs down on my nickname, Big Game Gibby Jim?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, it's those are nicknames that I don't know. Sure, whatever you want to go with.
Okay, it's all nice. It's all good. And you're a big game pitcher, Gibby. So I'm just throwing it out there.
Where's the Jim come from?
I mean, I appreciate it. Hey, I did appreciate this. We probably listen more than you guys think. I appreciate the compliment you gave me yesterday. Don't know if you remember, but I heard how'd the Hall of Fame trivia go today? Did the guy make it?
No, he didn't make it today.
Oh man! All right. Well, congratulations on the victory. I did hear the compliment you gave me after that, though, saying that I made pitches. That's something I've tried to do my whole career. So that was a very, if it's not big game, making, big pitches, I appreciate that compliment. That meant a lot.
So if we say bad things, are you still going to come on? I mean, I just want to know.
I'll still be here. I mean, as long as you're okay with me bringing them up and asking you, hey, what'd you mean by that? I think that might be fair. But yeah, if you don't mind me doing that, that's okay.
That's fair play, man. That's fair play. I like it.
No doubt about it. Hey, Kyle, you mentioned the culture here in St. Louis, and Goldie was there the other night. Tommy Edman was there the other night. Helsley, by the way, Helsley's jacked right now. He's got like this massive 230-pound rock of a body that he's got going. But Matz and Michaelis and Arenado, you got a whole lot of guys going with that all-win campaign, don't you?
Yes, yeah, we do. The all-win campaign's been really good. I think they've done it here for a few years, obviously going back to Waino. And, that's always cool to see somebody obviously Waino meant so much to this team and to Big League Impact still. And, sometimes those things, can die out and not have the momentum. But when you have players like we have here, it kept its momentum and it's doing really good. So that was really, really cool to see in spring training, have so many guys, step up and keep that going.
Hey, out west, are you getting many of the cicadas?
Yes, they are everywhere. It's a nice hum and a nice buzz to everything.
It is. It's loud. Hey, Kyle, thanks so much for the time, and thanks for joining us on your off day. We know that these are few and far between for you, so we appreciate you taking a few minutes for us to talk about some ball and talk about Big League Impact. Appreciate it, and have a great day.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
And you can go to bigleagueimpact.org. And as we mentioned, Tommy Edman is donating to public schools. Gibby is donating to Crisis Aid International here in St. Louis. Goldie is donating to the Little Bit Foundation. Helsley donating to Habitat for Humanity. Stephen Matz donating to the Backstoppers. Miles Michaelis donating to Crisis Aid U.S. Safe Program. Nolan Arenado donating to Ronald McDonald House of St. Louis. So you can get on bigleagueimpact.org and donate to their all-win campaigns.
That's amazing. They're all doing that. And it was such a great showing on Sunday as well from the players.
Yeah, he's just got to make bigger pitches, okay? Oh. Kyle, if you're no, I'm kidding. So, he's been great so far.
Yeah. We need to have him do trivia with you one day. I feel like we have to have that happen.
Yeah. Dan, you've been around this game all year, and you played. There are certain guys. Let me make a comp here.
Okay.
If you're going to put Kyle Gibson and Jordan Hicks, the Jordan Hicks of the Cardinals, side by side, you'd watch 100 pitches and you'd say, oh, I got to take that guy, the guy that throws 105 miles an hour. But Kyle makes pitches, and there is an art Jack Flaherty talked about it last year, that Derek Gould didn't understand the art of pitching. There is an art to getting people out and making pitches.
Well, the thing I noticed with him is, and I didn't realize it as much until I've seen him more up close and watching him every fifth day, is how he changes speeds.
Mm-hmm.
And he's able to locate, and not necessarily the hardest thrower, but if you can change speeds, change eye level, in and out, and I know these things are cliche, you can pitch at this level. You can have success. You can win. Now, it's not to say that Jordan Hicks, who went to an off-season program and changed a few things, can't have success. He obviously is having success, and he needs to, if he needs to dial it up to 100, he's got that in his back pocket. And I bet if you ask Kyle Gibson, if you had 100 in your back pocket, would you like it? He'd say yes, but he doesn't. And so he's learned over the years how to make pitches, and it's fun to watch.
And Waino, from 18 on, right, when he got hurt and he thought he was done, we all thought he was done. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, Waino didn't have stuff.
No.
But he made pitches.
Still had a good curveball.
Yeah.
He still had that old Uncle Charlie.
Yeah, and that helped, and he used it effectively, and obviously it worked for him.
But look at where he located.
Yep.
You know, and how he pitched when he was ahead in the count, behind the count. The fact that he still, even though he didn't throw that hard, would pitch in, which is a factor, because then you can get guys to reach out, roll over, get ground balls. He did that constantly, and that is pitching, man. And that's what made watching him down the stretch of his career, barring last year, there was some tough moments last year, but the years before that, the COVID year was unbelievable. Just how well he pitched. It was fun to see.
It really was. That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Okay, Brooke's wedding is coming up. Sorry to bring it up right now because it's just, 2 weeks? 2 weeks and 2 days, right?
Yeah, I'm not counting,
Okay,
but you are.
I am. But you can invite any fun and or rich person to your wedding, and they may or may not come. We aren't sure. This was brought about because Matthew was telling us that somebody invited the CEO of Chick-fil-A to their wedding, and Chick-fil-A sent them like $200 gift cards. But they may or may not come, but you're going to invite somebody to your wedding, may or may not come, and hopefully they do. Who are you inviting? Who's going to get that invitation, and who are you setting a place at the table for? That's next on 101 ESPN. If you're considering selling your home, remember when selecting your agent, that agent must have experience, a proven track record, and guarantees. You know who checks all of those boxes? Gloria Liu does, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She knows that as a home seller, you need assurance, and that's why Gloria will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed-to price, or she'll buy it. And Gloria's been successfully selling homes in our area for 20 years, and she can do the same for you. Here's the thing. Her promise says it all. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And she has solutions for every kind of home seller. Whatever you want to do. If you want to stay in your home for 12 months, you can do that. If you want a fast sale with no hassles, she can do that. She's got a 24-hour cash offer solution, and it's a great option to consider. You don't have to show the house. You don't have to do any repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer bid from Gloria's database of buyers in what she calls her cash offer bid box. If you're considering selling your home, it's got to be Gloria Liu. 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals finish off the sweep of the Orioles yesterday. They are off today. They will start a 3-game series against the Cubs starting on Friday with a 7:15 first pitch. Last night in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals in the NBA, it was the Dallas Mavericks over the Minnesota Timberwolves 108-105. Both Irving and Doncic hit the 30-point mark. And last night in the Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL, the Panthers over the Rangers 3-0 to take an early 1-0 lead in that series. Stars Oilers Western Conference Final Game 1 tonight on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 7 p.m. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
All right, Matthew, Brooke, Danny, and Randy, and you text 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And by the way, if you want to weigh in on the
you didn't
YouTube
like that yo-ho?
chat,
That was like screaming.
It was. We were cicada.
Oh, man.
Cicada yo-ho.
Man.
You said you like cicadas, so we were
I
imitating.
do. I didn't think it was a cicada.
Okay, so we were talking about this yesterday. So, Brooke, so somebody may or may not come to your wedding, but the odds are, let's give them 51-49 that they will, or better, that they will. Who would you like to have at your wedding that you would roll the dice on?
This is very important to note that it has to be a person who is alive, a
Yes,
celebrity
it
who
is,
is alive,
right.
because we are getting some ones of people who are dead, and I don't want a dead person coming to my
It would
wedding.
smell so bad.
It would. It would really kind of ruin things, wouldn't it, huh? So I'm going to go with...
Why are you looking at me that way, Dan?
Well, I was just saying, what if somebody had been cremated? You know, you can bring them.
That's true. That wouldn't,
Well, then
bring
it
the
could
urn.
be anybody, really. Like, I could technically have Elvis there, but if he's in an urn, then would anybody know?
Yeah, he's not dead.
Where is he?
Well, nobody knows. But okay, so it's got to be somebody alive, because you don't want an urn sitting in the middle of a table.
No, that's really awkward.
Good point.
Great conversation starter, though.
It is.
I'm going to go with, I was thinking a lot about this. I think I'm going to go with Shaq, because one, maybe his plus one would be Chuck, okay, in that situation, and it would be really fun. Shaq also DJs. I've seen him DJ here in St. Louis, so he would even maybe help with the DJing. I feel like he would be great to have at a party. He would be a lot of fun.
Not only that, but he's incredibly generous.
Exactly. So you get the benefits of all of it.
Yeah.
He shows up, a lot of fun, great guy for the party, and would be generous.
I'd go Vince Vaughn. Wedding crasher. And
that's good.
You could bring him, and all your bridesmaids would have the time of their life if Vince Vaughn was there.
Don't say that.
What? I'm just saying.
3 of them are pregnant, so there we go.
Okay, we'll get them out of the equation. But I'm going Vince Vaughn with Wedding Crasher.
That's a good call. You know who would be fun and interesting and who apparently just shows up randomly anyway is Bill Murray, who's a funny guy and a fun guy. He'll just show up like a Little League baseball game in Illinois.
Seriously?
Yeah. He just shows up at places randomly, and he's apparently just as generous and as fun and as genuine as you could ever run across.
Do you think he'd do like a set at a Little League game? Goes there
probably.
and just puts on a little set. Hey, kids, here's my set for that I'm working on for maybe a little movie action or something like that. Why not? Yeah.
Matthew, who you got?
Oh, I mean, Snoop Dogg. It's 100%.
Oh, that's a good call.
The easiest
That
answer.
is a
It's the
good one.
easiest answer in the world. It's Snoop Dogg 100% of the time.
You want that smell in your wedding,
Yes.
Well, what are you talking about? Because you have the names
though?
for
Devil's
him.
lettuce, yeah.
And what else?
Is he going to bring the Acapulco Black? Is he going to bring the wacky weed? I'm just not sure.
So I actually asked David this question last night. I said, who would you want to invite celebrity-wise to the wedding? You know what he said?
What?
Jessica Alba.
Good call.
Why
In
Jessica
case she
Alba?
wants to interject. That is the sentence that he said. So I'm just gonna and I texted you guys and I said, is it too soon for a divorce?
That's a great
Is
answer.
it too soon?
Listen, that's a great answer.
But then I said, okay, give me just a serious one. He said Ryan Reynolds.
How about Will Ferrell?
In case he interjects.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
Will
also
Ferrell
in
would be
case he
good.
interjects.
Will Ferrell would be great. Now, if Ryan Reynolds brings his +1, then you got something.
Yes.
Who's his +1?
Blake Lively,
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
tied for first.
Have you reached out to anybody, Brooke, and said, come on, let's go?
I'm trying to think. Because when you brought up the Chick-fil-A thing, I was like, should I do that? Because we have a couple of extra ones, but those are so expensive. Like wedding invitations are really expensive just to send out. But now I'm thinking that maybe I should. So maybe if somebody has some advice where they've done that before, where you've sent it to companies, I will gladly do that. Because if I get $200 in Chick-fil-A, I'm going every single day.
That'd be great.
Until it runs out.
Yeah. By the way, Matthew, if you do invite Snoop, do you expect him to bring the African woodbine, or are you going to blow smoke with your stuff?
I mean, he better be bringing something. Come on, it's Snoop Dogg.
Some
That's
Canadian black,
the expectation is that Snoop Dogg's going to show up and just start handing them out. Just
Get some chillums. Yeah.
Just start handing them. Wow! What a word for you to use. Holy, my God! I would have had $100 on words that you would have used broken out in this moment, and I would not have put any money on you breaking out chillum. Holy
My
crap.
expectation is that he will bring the dinky dow. That
So do you have that in front of you, Randall?
Well, Dan, come on.
Or are you just down with your peeps?
I'm down with the peeps. What do we got on the text line there, Matthew?
Someone that says they're tired of hearing of my wedding. So that's yeah,
We had a
sorry.
text line. I like this
tired
one.
of you texting.
What about Nikki Glazer? Give her a 5-minute
that's a good
set,
one.
and
Yeah.
although you'd get roasted.
But that's kind of funny though. If she did that for the
Until about
entrances.
5 minutes in.
I don't know. She may bring Chris Convey, though.
Oh no.
That is
Randy
unfortunate. Yeah,
Randy would
that's-
leave the wedding if that happened.
Oh, we're getting a lot of Will Ferrells.
Yeah, Will Ferrell's great. Good call, Dano.
We got a lot of people getting that in there. Somebody said, why not just ask Michelle Smallman?
That'd be a good one.
There's a lot of people who that'd be a good one. Keith Tkachuk, Brett Hall, Jamie Rivers.
Oh,
Open
we win
bar,
blues.
let them loose.
We win blues.
Yeah. Oh my. Open bar with Hully. How long does it stay open?
Just let it rip.
Yep. Don't you love it?
He'd be fun.
It would.
Somebody said more.
The T-shirt with the old school blues colors. It says "Drunk as Hull." So Hully.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He enjoyed 2019.
So who do you want there, bro? Is there anybody like turned you down in your invitations that have disappointed you?
No, not really. We had some family stuff come up, so that was about it. But just some family members that couldn't show up.
Do I get credit? I don't know if you've given me public credit yet for RSVPing early. Well, not early, but before the deadline.
Yes, I'll give you credit right now
Thank you.
for
I appreciate
it.
that.
You're
Maybe you
welcome.
should auction off on the radio a chance to bring somebody to your wedding.
Jeez, don't
Raise some money.
do that.
All right, they're just throwing something out there. Randy makes some carrot cake, sits with that person. They do some trivia together, live it wild at that party, and enjoy themselves at the wedding.
Yeah. I think,
All thanks to you.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that idea, Dan. We'll
Okay.
circle back to it.
Somebody said
Workshop it, right?
you invite Cronky because if he shows up, you can hit him, and if he doesn't, no, nothing's lost.
That was funny. Yeah, I like that.
little extreme, but okay.
Yeah. We do love your response. Thank you very much. We're going to head down the stretch here, this edition of the Opening Drive with Rocc and Roll. It's next on 101 ESPN. Carricker family needed a new faucet in the kitchen, and who do we have install it? Of course, Hoffman Brothers. You can get any plumbing or electrical need that you have taken care of by Hoffman Brothers. They have professional people that are great at their job, and they'll come to your house, and they're going to do a great job of installing, explaining, cleaning up afterwards, and you will have a wonderful experience. If you've maybe run out of hot water faster than usual. Maybe you've had lower water pressure than you want. If you have had the pilot light on your water heater go out, you need to get in touch with Hoffman Brothers at hoffmanbros.com to schedule your appointment. Or you can text them or call them at 314-664-3011. 314-664-3011. Hoffman Brothers is an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, and we couldn't be happier with the service we get from Hoffman Brothers. And right now they're hiring. If you're a plumber or an HVAC field professional and you want a great place to work, go to hoffmanbros.com and apply online, and they will be a wonderful place for you. It's Hoffman Brothers, heating, cooling, appliances, plumbing, electrical, whatever you need done, they can do it at Hoffman Brothers, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
I want to rock.
And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Matthew, the Cleveland Cavaliers had a great season, but they have fired their coach, J.B. Bickerstaff. Were you going to use that? I'm sorry.
No, please, no. That's even. I wasn't even going to bring it up. I'm glad you did, though. Please.
Yeah, they were really good, and he got as much out of that team as could have gotten out of that team, I think, and he has been fired. Bernie Bickerstaff, his dad was the head coach. Was it the St. Louis Sting that we had here at Family Arena back in the day?
Yeah,
they were
Sting.
Doug Smith and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Jr., and it was a fun team.
It was.
And Bernie was the coach and the GM. It was pretty cool.
He was here. That was a big name. Mark Lamping had a hand in the CBA.
Yeah, he was president.
Yep. Mark Lamping, now the president and running the Jacksonville Jaguars, and obviously was the president of the St. Louis Cardinals for a good amount of years and had his hand in the CBA.
And, oh, by the way, negotiated a deal last week, finalized a deal to get stadium complete renovation in Jacksonville, so the Jaguars aren't going anywhere.
So if you had any hopes of that,
It ain't going to happen.
Squelch that.
You would think that they would by this point because they've been playing everywhere, but sometimes Jacksonville.
We obviously had no chance to keep our team. But one time, Mike Tirico came in for a Monday night game on ESPN, and we interviewed him in the fast lane. And he said, there's 32 of these pieces of gold in the world, and you have to do everything you can to keep them. And we did everything we could to keep ours, and obviously lost it anyway. But Jacksonville, Shad Khan's a loyal guy. They built they're building the stadium for him, and they get to maintain their little piece of gold.
Yeah, and they don't complain too much about not actually getting all their home games.
Right.
Don't complain too much about the NFL stealing away, those home games that you paid all that public money to refurbish your stadium to then host home games, and then they get taken away from you. Just sit there quietly, take your beating, take your whooping, and be happy you're actually part of the club.
And I think with their new stadium, they'll probably forego those overseas games because their revenue streams are going to be so good at the new stadium. And that was the Rams' thought process. And I don't think Jacksonville will keep doing the London thing.
We'll see. There's going to be all these London fans who just can't wait to travel to St. Louis because they saw the Rams play in London.
Oh, no, it's about making the money over there. It's a Super Bowl. You get Super Bowl money by playing over there.
They actually said that, though. Like you could call it a lie, but like they actually tried to say it to people that it was going to bring fans from over there to visit St. Louis. It was the dumbest thing in the world.
If you want to get fans in your stadium and you're the Rams, you just play the 49ers.
That's the point.
And then for the pregame video, you just play one of two clips. Either the 49ers originally saying same bleeping Rams, or you play the Rams after they started beating the 49ers, ironically saying same bleeping Rams.
Yeah, and now the 49ers are beating the Rams again.
It's formulaic. It's easy.
Yeah, it is.
By the way, we keep talking about the story. And
it was a swarm, by the way. St. Louis Swarm was pretty good.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
St. Louis Swarm. Another domino has fallen in the NCAA versus House case. The NCAA board is the next domino to fall. Big Ten came down, Pac-12 came down, and now the actual NCAA board has come down to agree with the settlement in the House case. So there's still two more conferences. The SEC, it was the Big Ten and the Big 12, The SEC and the Pac-12 are two of the conferences that have yet to agree to the settlement of the lawsuit. The lawsuit, by the way, will be paying $2.7 billion to former athletes over the next decade for back damages related to the association's NIL. The conferences have also agreed to create a forward-looking system that will allow schools to pay roughly $20 million per year in permissive revenue sharing to athletes. Those direct payments would likely begin in fall 2025. So a lot of people who used to play sports getting some money, and then hopefully everyone from here on after getting some money. But it looks like this is all going to happen because, 3 of the 5 dominoes have fallen, the other 2 are going to fall.
By the way, this NIL back pay House is Grant House, a former swimmer at Arizona State, and he was joined by TCU women's basketball player Sedona Prince. Those are the 2 people that are taking down the NCAA.
That's amazing.
For all this money. Yeah, it's a swimmer and a women's basketball player.
What is the role of the NCAA now?
To kind of bug everybody, like the cicadas.
Seriously, what do they do now if some of this stuff is going to come up and be completed, which by all accounts, it's going that direction. I just wonder what the role of the NCAA is moving forward.
They had a chance to get in front of it, and this is, what they're having to deal with now. They're irrelevant at this point.
They really are. And the NCAA essentially is the division, the college presidents, right? They're the people that are in charge of it, but they're going to have to completely, and I've thought this for a long time, by the way, just tear up the rule book and start from scratch.
Right. I'm with you. I think that's something that you have to look at because the parameters and the goalposts have completely changed.
Right. One night when I was doing the Charlie Spoon Hour show back in the day, he brought in the NCAA rule book, which literally was, if you know what a phone book looked like, it was about the size of a phone book. And they had 2 pages. SLU was trying to figure out a rule. And the rule was, because it had only been added to since the 50s and they never took anything out, so the rule was clear in favor of SLU in one part of the book, and then in another part of the book it was clear on the other side against St. Louis University. So Spoon actually called the NCAA and said, what should we do here? And the NCAA said, oh, you just do what you think the book says you should do. Well, it was both. So I don't, obviously SLU never got harmed by it, but that was the NCAA answer. We don't know.
And a guy like Spoon, who by all accounts did everything right, is the one that's trying to ask about this and get the details of this. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it was really bad. A great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
I really enjoyed that.
How about that interview with Gibby today?
Big game.
That was great, man.
You want to hear that?
Gibby just killing it.
He is. We can hear that again if we want to by just going to our podcast on the 101 ESPN app or 101ESPN.com. Brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Center.
Ding.
Brooke, I'm not tired of hearing about your wedding.
Thank you.
15 days.
Oh, yes. It is happening then.
It is still?
Yes, it is.
You haven't killed each other yet, so it's going on. It's moving forward.
Jessica Alba didn't return the call.
Yeah.
Danny Mac, spectacular job as always.
Always great job, Randall, and you too, Brooke and Matthew.
And when we're done with this show, we're going to go record an interview with Ryan Blaney, NASCAR driver Ryan Blaney. He'll be here at the Enjoy Illinois 300 on June 1st, and we'll have that for you tomorrow, along with Jay Delsing and a lot of other frivolity here on the show. For all of us, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. Till tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great Friday Eve, everyone.
Bring gas.